Part 25. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 243. Chapter 239 Wind and Thunder Wings. Although Yunquan Temple in Zishan is not a famous mountain temple, there are not many pilgrims. However, he has little reputation in the capital city and the nearby spiritual circles. The presiding monk Kongwen has the cultivation level of the second relic. He has the great demon subduing boxing technique, which is fierce and powerful, and is powerful in Beijing. In addition to his cultivation, monk Kongwen has a wide circle of friends. Whether he is Taoist or Suanman, he has his friends. Especially among the casual cultivators, he is highly praised. In the backyard of Yunquan Temple, under a lush sycamore tree, a monk and a layman sat together in threes and threes. Gilug. The clear tea soup overflows. Monk Kongwen put down the teapot and smiled. This Longjing tea before the rain is a new tea picked from a century-old vine by a friend of the old monk. Taoist friend Su will try it. Su Junming picked it up and took a sip. It's really good. Don't drink it by yourself. Let the two fellow Taoists come together. This tea will taste more delicious if we all taste it together. Monk Kongwen and Gongyun picked up their teacups. After signaling to each other, the three of them drank. Gongyun took the initiative to pick up the teapot and refill the cups for the three of them. This must be the first time for fellow Taoist Su to come to the capital, right? How can I see it? Su Junming smiled. I know all the Jindan monks in the cities near the capital, but Taoist fellow Su is not among them. Su Junming picked up the teacup and took a sip. Fellow Taoist Gong's Dharma vision is correct. Pandao is indeed from the South China Sea. After a pause, Su Junming's eyes quickly swept over the two of them. Two fellow Taoists, have you been practicing in the capital city? Exactly. Gongyun nodded. Do you two know about the underworld under the Forbidden City? Monk Kongwen and Gongyun both changed their colors at the same time. Fellow Taoist Su, the underworld is where the ghost realm of the Ixinjiluo family is, and it cannot be moved, Monk Kongwen said quickly. The Jin dynasty has run out of luck, why can't it move? Although the luck of the Jin dynasty has been exhausted, the Yinlai is 1,000 miles wide and the boundary wall is extremely strong. Unless dozens of Jindan Taoists gather together, it will be difficult to break through from the outside. Although it is easier from the inside, the 11 emperors of the Jin dynasty can exert a combat power equivalent to the third level of the Golden Core with the blessing of the realm. Ghost Lord Nurasi can even do this in the Ghost realm, rivaling the peak of the Golden Core. After saying that, Monk Kongwen sighed. Although I and other monks in the capital want to eliminate this cancer growing under the Forbidden City, we are unable to do anything because we are not strong enough. Gongyun also nodded in agreement. Su Junming frowned. How did this ghost world grow so big in the first place? Did no one ever stop it? Of course there are people who stop it, but the Jin dynasty's luck golden dragon is so powerful that no one has ever succeeded, Gongyundao said. What about before the Jin became emperor? Fellow Taoist, have you ever heard of Fengming Qishan? Gongyun said. Nature. The phoenix sings in Qishan, and the destiny of the Zhou dynasty is prosperous. More than half of the Chinese people know this illusion. Before the rise of the later Jin dynasty, some people speculated that the later Jin dynasty had the image of Fengming. They thought that the Jin dynasty was destined to succeed the Ming dynasty, so they never stopped it. Who knew that after the Jin dynasty entered the pass, they slaughtered wantonly and thousands of ghosts were cast. The huge underworld has turned the soldiers who died on the battlefield into countless ghost soldiers, which has become a climate. Gongyun sighed. Su Junming frowned, thinking of the phoenix egg he saw in the underworld, and thought to himself. Could this be the truth of Fengming Qishan? There was no basis for it, and he didn't know whether his guess was true or false. But fellow Taoist, don't worry. In the ghost world of Jin people, A rabbit's tail cannot grow, Gongyun said. Oh, how come you see it? Do fellow Taoists know about the 1003 Great Tribulations? I heard it said. Su Junming's eyes flickered. A catastrophe is imminent, and those with merit may be able to stay out of it. But the big sects really need to do something to fight for their luck. If nothing happens, the world of Jinren and ghosts will be wiped out by the Quanzhen lineage of Buddhism or Taoism. Su Junming nodded. Hearing this, he couldn't help but think of the White Lotus sect. I'm afraid that the Sanchen Fulu sects also have the same idea. Amitabha, when the great calamity arises, we will lend a helping hand to Buddhism or Quanzhen Taoism to completely eliminate this cancer in the world of golden people and ghosts. What Master Kongwen said is true. When the time comes, I will definitely do my part, Gong Yundao said. Clean out the evil spirits, and the poor Taoists will naturally not lag behind others. The three of them looked at each other and smiled. Fellow Taoists Su, do you have something to do when you come to the capital this time? Kongwen changed the subject. Nothing, just traveling here. 7 days later, there will be a Dharma gathering at Yanchen Zhensing Temple. Many casual cultivators and sect disciples will come here to exchange cultivation resources and exchange cultivation experiences. This is a rare event in the cultivation world. Since Taoist friends have nothing at hand, for urgent matters, you might as well stay with the poor monk for a few more days, and then we can attend the true concentration Dharma assembly together. Yanchen Zhending Guan? Is it the Taoist temple of Zhending Taoist Jiao Kunfen? Su Junming said. Monk Kongwen showed respect on his face. Amitabha is the dojo of Master Jiao. Zhending Daijun Jiao Kunfen is one of the only remaining late-stage Jindan monks in the world of casual cultivation. His reputation is so great that almost no one in the entire spiritual world knows about it. Since there is such a grand event, I have no reason to miss it, Master Kongwen. I have been causing trouble in the past few days. Haha, fellow Taoist, you're welcome. If you can stay, my little temple will be full of glory. Gong Yun sighed. He originally planned to invite Su Junming to stay in his Myofa cave for a few days, but he never thought that Monk Kongwen would beat him to the front. This cunning thief is bald. After complaining in his mind, Gong Yun smiled. Master Kongwen, fellow Taoist Su, good times are rare, how about we discuss the Tao? The road is obscure and difficult to understand. So when everyone sits together, the most common thing they do is discuss Tao. Exchange Taoist experiences with each other, even if they are not practicing the same Taoist path. If they communicate more, they can draw parallels. Facing their gazes, Su Junming nodded. Although he has a bronze mirror, this kind of face-to-face communication is often much faster than understanding through the bronze mirror. However, Kongwen comprehended the Zhengjin path and Gong Yun comprehended the Binghuo path, which were not his 12 main Taoist methods. Fortunately, it was better than nothing. Listening to their sermons, Su Junming made a lot of progress. As for him, with the thunder drum in front of him, of course he must teach the way of thunder. But Lei Dao is obscure and difficult to understand. Looking at the sad faces of Kongwen and Gong Yun, you can tell that they haven't understood much. Anyone who can achieve success in casual cultivation is either a person with amazing qualifications and understanding, or a person with extraordinary perseverance. Although the way of thunder is difficult to understand, the two of them are not ashamed to ask questions. Su Junming admires their good Taoist heart and nature. After the discussion, Kongwen called a young novice monk and arranged Su Junming into the guest room in the front yard. Put a sealing charm on it and seal the room. He took out the body of Taoist Yi Zhao Changming from the gourd, took a look at it, and shook his head. Originally, he wanted to keep this man's body and train him to become his own divine protector. But thunder is overbearing and difficult to control. Just like Shi Huanggu who died in Lupin's hands, the Niwen palace was shattered and unable to be practiced at all. A fire burns it to ashes. He stirred up a dream and peeked into Zhao Changming's memory. Su Junming has an additional Feng Dao technique in his hands that can cultivate the soul. The true secret of Sunfen. This technique is different from the Wind God Wen Qi technique that he learned from Xianzhen Temple. The latter can practice all the way to the fairyland, but Sunfen Zhenju is lacking. For Su Junming, who likes to collect exercises, Sunfen Zhenju is a good harvest. In addition, in Zhao Changming's memory, he also acquired the Wind and Thunder Wings sacrificial training method. Compared to the Sunfen True Art, this magical weapon called Wind and Thunder Wings is even better. These Wind and Thunder Wings are made from 720 magical swords and are made into 2 sword wings, which can fly at great speed. When fighting, it has the power of wind and thunder, and is even more powerful. Because Zhao Changming only obtained the Sunfen True Secret, but not the corresponding Thunder Secret. The Wind and Thunder Wings, as a natal magic weapon, were trained by him to look different. Of course, if it weren't for this, Zhao Changming wouldn't be killed so easily. Taking out the broken sword wing and sensing it, Su Junming shook his head. The technique of the sacrificial training was too poor. After 1,000 refinements of refined iron, there was only one treasure ban? However, it is already rare for Zhao Changming, a casual cultivator, to obtain so much refined iron to refine 720 magic swords, and then refine sword wings. I estimate that most of the things that were taken away from the robbery were used in this. It has been 8 years since he entered Taoism, and he has had many opportunities along the way. The Dongsuan level hardware heroes he obtained cannot even make up half a sword wing in total. Feeling the innate spiritual wind inside the broken sword wings, Su Junming hesitated for a moment. Forget it, let's repair it. We can't waste this innate power. However, the power of the original sword wings did not meet the requirements. Su Junming extracted a trace of innate thunder power from the sky thunder drum. Combined with the innate spiritual wind in the sword wings, the complete wind and thunder wings were developed. The 7 days passed quickly. Gong Yun, who had made an appointment to attend the Dharma assembly together, came to Yunquan Temple early in the morning. Fellow Taoist Su, how have you been at Yunquan Temple these days? After returning the bow to Gong Yun, Su Junming smiled. Master Kongwen is very courteous, I feel very grateful to you. But, Taoist Su is in serious condition. Since you have settled in our temple, as a landlord, of course you must take good care of him. After thanking him, Su Junming said. You too, it's getting late, let's set off. Gong Yun and Master Kongwen nodded. They had been looking forward to the True Contemplation Dharma conference for a long time. The 3 of them were all in the Golden Core realm and were able to fly with Qi. It didn't take long before they arrived at the True Concentration Temple deep in Yanshan Mountain. Jingle bell. When he was still dozens of feet away from the true meditation, a crisp bell suddenly rang. Su Junming's face changed slightly. Ren Xiang is here. After pondering for a moment, he activated his facial muscles and changed his appearance. For him, who has also advanced to the Golden Elixir realm in terms of physical cultivation, it is easy to control the muscles and bones of his face and change his appearance. However, forced change is unlikely to last. Fellow Taoist Su, what are you? Gong Yun and Master Kongwen also heard the ringing. Out of curiosity, they turned around and saw Su Junming changing his appearance. 2 of you, I have a very difficult opponent, who is also in this Zhending Guan. I will inevitably start a fight after meeting. I hate Zhending Daijun, and I have no choice but to do this. I hope you 2 can protect me for me. Secret Su Junming spoke sincerely. Don't worry, fellow Taoist Su, the 2 of us will definitely keep this secret. Master Kongwen nodded in agreement. But, I wonder who your enemy is. If possible, we can reconcile 1 or 2 things for you, resolve a cause and effect, and save your troubles. Thank you for your kindness, Master. The enemy and I have already been fighting to the death. After hearing what he said, Kong Wen and Gong Yun stopped talking. We have not known each other for long, and no one is willing to participate in this kind of big cause and effect involving life and death, unless they are close friends. Otherwise, if one person is not good, his life will be at risk, and hundreds of years of practice will be reduced to water. Sorry, I went back to my hometown tonight and just updated now. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 244. Chapter 240, The True Dharma Conference. Zhendigwen is the same as Master Kongwen's Yunquan Temple, with 3 entrances in front and back, plus 2 cross courtyards. Master Kongwen and Gong Yun were obviously familiar with the road. Su Junming followed them to the left courtyard of Yunquan Temple. The courtyard, lined with green trees and blooming flowers, is extremely peaceful. 30 to 40 monks, men, women, old and young, were sitting or standing. Of course, not all of them are Jindan, many of them are Jindan elders who bring their juniors to open their eyes. Master Kongwen, fellow Taoist Gong. As soon as the 2 of them arrived, a middle-aged Taoist wearing a blue Taoist robe took the initiative to greet them. Behind him, there was also a young man with a heroic appearance wearing a green sword uniform. Fellow Taoist Zhang, are you here early? The 3 of them were obviously old acquaintances. Haha, I was close, so I came a few steps earlier. Who is this? The 2 were just about to introduce each other when they looked at Su Junming, who looked very different, and remembered that he had changed his appearance and avoided his enemies. It was difficult to introduce his previous name, otherwise it would be the fault of both of them if it was exposed. Rogue cultivator Su Pan, I met fellow Taoist. Zhang Ling took a quick look and saw that the dark-skinned middle-aged Taoist priest in front of him nodded. Poverty Taoist Zhang Ling, this is my young disciple Qiu Yang. The Taoist temple is at Lingmiao Temple, 20 miles away. If you have time, you can go and sit down. I must go and bother you when you have time. After seeing the ceremony, several people walked aside. Zhang Ling mostly chatted with the familiar Master Kongwen and Gong Yun, and occasionally asked about Su Junming. This just happened to be what he wanted, and he could look for Ren Xiang when he had time. After looking around, he couldn't be found. Su Junming originally thought that he had concealed his appearance like him, and was about to use a bronze mirror, but suddenly he found that everyone stood up. Following their gazes, at the entrance of the courtyard, an old Taoist priest wearing a purple robe, holding a floating dust in his hand, and with white beard and hair, stepped in. Behind him, there was this young man wearing a moon-white robe, with a face as beautiful as a jade, and extremely handsome, like a handsome young man in a troubled world. The man was none other than Ren Xiang, whom Su Junming had not been able to find for a long time. I've seen Lord Zhending Dao. Everyone saluted the old Taoist wearing purple robe. Fellow Taoists are exempt from the gift. Wait for everyone to get up. Lord Zhending looked around and smiled. 15 Taoist friends at the Golden Core realm came to this Dharma conference, and they were more successful than in previous years. It's really gratifying and congratulatory. The Tao Lord's reputation spreads far and wide, and naturally more Taoist friends will come here because of his reputation, a white-robed golden elixir said with a smile. I heard what fellow Taoists said is true. If in a few years, it is not impossible for our Dharma assembly to be comparable to the Penglai Dharma assembly. There are many Dharma conferences in the spiritual world, but the truly top Dharma conferences, like those in the market, have the support of big sects. For example, the Sanchen Dharma Assembly of the Shangqing sects, the Quanzhen Dharma Assembly of the Quanzhen Taoist sects, and the Wutai Dharma Assembly of Buddhism. The Penglai Dharma Assembly is a Dharma assembly held by various Taoist sects and overseas monks on Penglai Island in the East China Sea. It is held every 3 years and is an unprecedented event. Lord Zhending laughed loudly. Even in the later stages of the golden elixir, people are still willing to listen to good things. The Penglay Dharma Assembly has accumulated thousands of years of history and is now the grand event it is today. Our Zhending Dharma Assembly is only a few decades old and cannot compare to others. Amidst the compliments of everyone, Lord Zhending walked to the middle and sat facing south. Ren Xiang sat down beside him. The others divided themselves into left and right groups and sat down on the stone bench next to him. The innate talents of the younger generation stand behind their respective masters and elders. Lord Zhending looked around. We are all outsiders, so we don't need to stick to common etiquette. Let's start directly. After everyone nodded, Lord Zhending continued. I wonder which Taoist friend will start first. I'll just throw some ideas into the mix. A tall and thin middle-aged man in a white robe stood up. He bowed his hands to everyone, walked to the opposite side of Zhending Taoist Lord, and stood 2 feet away behind a stone table. Chen Xian, I brought you 12,000 refined iron this time, and I want to exchange it for 30 Qingyang pills, or 2,000 red copper. As he spoke, he patted the magic bag, and a black iron block the size of an apple appeared on the stone table. The weight of Qianlian refined iron is hundreds of times that of ordinary refined iron, so the 12 ounces describe the volume, not the weight. The stone table and the ground clearly had forbidden laws imposed on them. It steadily withstood the weight of 12 ounces of fine iron. Everyone wants the Dongsuan level 1000 refined iron, and Su Junming is no exception. Even the Biang pill, which has a similar effect to the Qingyang pill, he has refined a lot of it using the 1000-year spirit peach during this period. However, he was a little reluctant to give up 30 grains in exchange for 12,000 refined iron. Fellow Taoist Chen, I only have 1 or 2,000 refining red copper and 11 Qingyang pills here. I wonder if you are willing to exchange them. An old man wearing Gee stood up and said. Chen Xian hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth when no one responded. Change. With a smile on his face, the old man took out a date-sized piece of red copper and a blue and white porcelain vase from his pocket and handed them over. There is no doubt that he made more money from this transaction. After the exchange between the two, Lord Zhending spoke. Please give a lecture, fellow Taoist Chen. Chen Xian nodded, sat down and explained the Zhengjin method. Su Junming listened carefully. His Earth Emperor Dao included Gengjin Dao. Chen Xian's experience was of great help to him. Occasionally someone asked questions in the middle, and Chen Xian answered them seriously. It was over after about an hour. The second person who came up was an old Taoist priest wearing a yellow robe. Old Taoist Huan Kaiyafeng, there are 3 ounces of blue spiritual water here, and I would like to exchange them for the same spiritual fire, or 12 ounces of Dongxian low-grade spiritual oil. No one answered for a while, obviously no one had what he wanted. The old Taoist sighed in disappointment, explained the great way of fire, and then went down. Dongxian level spiritual materials can only be encountered but cannot be obtained. They are condensed with great pains and efforts, and most of them are sacred magical weapons. Only if you get it occasionally and you don't have any use for it, will you exchange it. The third fellow Taoist. After Zhending Daijun finished speaking, Su Junming stood up. Good things were becoming less and less frequent. After figuring out the process of the Dharma conference, he was not prepared to wait any longer. As a new face coming here for the first time, almost all the golden core cultivators gave him curious looks. Su Junming took out a 7-inch high jade vase from the bag, 1 foot long, with light blue teeth shining on it. 24 white yang pills are exchanged for 92,000 refined iron, Dongxian low-grade monster teeth are exchanged for 92,000 refined red copper. Biang pill was made by himself. As for the monster tooth, he got it from the Dharma bag of Yi Taoist Zhao Changming. It should be something he brought to this Dharma meeting and exchanged it. As a result, Su Junming got an advantage. This fellow Taoist is really rich. He has given out so many good things at once. Everyone talked a lot and looked at him with envy. Su Junming smiled faintly and waited quietly for the bid. Just a moment. Chen Xian, who came up first, stood up. Fellow Taoist, I still have a surplus of Biang Pil. If I have, I am willing to exchange it for 1,000 refined iron. Su Junming shook his head. He has a lot of Biang Pils, but he still has to use them for himself. As for 1,000 refined iron, he only needs 9 taels. I only have these 24. Chen Xian saw that he didn't want to show off too much. Fellow Taoist, I am willing to exchange 1 or 2,000 refined iron for 2 Biang Pils. Everyone looked at him in surprise. In today's cultivation world, although the price of 1,000 refined iron continues to fall, it is basically stable at 3 to 4 Biang Pils per tael. He folded it in half at once, which was a waste of money. How come this fellow Taoist Chen Xian has so many refined irons? Everyone was extremely curious. But when it comes to other people's secrets, it's hard for people to ask too many questions. Su Junming still shook his head. The price of fine iron has been falling, but Biang Pil uses Millennium Spirit Fruit as the main material, and the price of Biang Pil is rising when the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is getting thinner. At this time, using Biang Pil to buy 1,000 refined iron would be a bit of a loss. If Su Junming had not wanted to practice a flying sword and needed 92,000 refined iron, he would rather refine it himself in the future. After continuously refusing, Chen Xian had no choice but to exchange 92,000 refined iron for these 24 Biang Pils. Fellow Taoist, can I check your teeth? A middle-aged man wearing a large cloak and a feather crown with an immortal air stood up and said. Nature. The middle-aged man stepped forward and after checking, a happy look appeared on his face. He took out a palm-sized wooden box from his bag and handed it to Su Junming. Fellow Taoist, please take a look. He removed the sealing talisman and opened it, revealing a piece of red copper the size of a child's fist. Feeling the rich Xinjian spiritual energy in it, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. Make a deal. Thank you, fellow Taoist. After getting what he wanted, Su Junming also started preaching. He knew many Taoist techniques, but since he exposed his Thunder Dao in front of Kong Wen and Gong Yun, he taught the Thunder Dao. Thunder Dao is difficult to cultivate, and the Thunder Dao method is rare, so there are only a few people who can really understand his method. Su Junming just talked about some simple principles and answered a few people's questions. When the time was up, he went down. People came up one after another from behind. But more than half of them are top-grade magic weapons and top-grade spiritual materials. The only 2 pieces are a 4-color spiritual soil of Dongxian low grade, and a 3-yellow elixir. Sanhuang Dan is a spiritual elixir that is specially taken by Jindan monks to increase mana. It can be regarded as an advanced elixir of Biang Dan and Xingyang Dan. It requires at least 3,000-year-old spiritual fruits or spiritual grass as the main materials to be refined. Because the requirements for alchemy skills are extremely high, it is difficult for even the most powerful sects to gather the materials. Plus the chance of a furnace explosion. In the context of the end of heaven and earth, there are very few sects that refine this kind of elixir. The Sanhuang Dan that this person took out had been passed down for a long time, and its medicinal properties had been somewhat depleted. Originally, Su Junming planned to buy it and study it. After all, he was also proficient in alchemy. But this person opened his mouth and said that there were 22 Dongxian low-grade hardware materials, although gold, silver, copper, iron, and tin were all acceptable. But this kind of asking price made him retreat immediately. This person saw that no one answered for a while, and after explaining some Xinjian Taoism, he left in disappointment. These 3 yellow pills were hard to come by, and he didn't want to sell them cheaply. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 245. Chapter 241 5 Elements Ring. Master, seeing that this Dharma gathering is coming to an end, why haven't you come up yet? Su Junming asked with a smile. I'm short of money, so what can I do? The old monk is here mainly to listen to your sermons. As for the exchange, just open your eyes. Kong Wen shook his head and said. Seeing him like this, Su Junming didn't say much. Before we knew it, the Dharma conference came to an end. As the master of this place, Lord Zhending walked to the front, and Ren Xiang followed behind him, following suit. Is there any other fellow Taoist who wants to exchange something? If not, then it will be Pandao's turn, Taoist Zhending said with a smile. After saying this, after seeing no one respond for a while, Zhending Daijun took out a copper ring with cracks on the surface and shining with colorful brilliance from the bag of magic. Spiritual weapon. Feeling the power revealed on the copper ring, everyone quickly understood. However, compared to normal spiritual weapons, the aura of this copper ring flickers on and off, and it is obviously damaged. This 5 elements ring was obtained by chance. It was originally a mid-grade spiritual weapon with 5 spiritual restrictions, but it was severely damaged. Most of the restrictions collapsed, but the fundamental innate 5-element spiritual energy inside was intact. Today, the old Taoist wants to exchange it for a low-grade spiritual weapon. Several spiritual restraints are enough. I wonder which fellow Taoist is willing to exchange it? Everyone looked at each other, exchanging a middle-grade spiritual weapon that was on the verge of collapse for a low-grade spiritual weapon that was intact. This deal sounds like a good deal, but there are very few weapon refiners in the world of cultivation who are capable of refining spiritual weapons, let alone middle-grade spiritual weapons. And if you want the weapon refiner to help you repair a middle-grade spiritual weapon, you must at least take out spiritual objects equivalent to half of the middle-grade spiritual weapon as the cost of repairing it. In the end, you have to bear the risk of repair failure and the spiritual weapon being directly blown up. Therefore, transactions that appear to be equal and even profitable are actually very risky. If not, Lord Zhending Dao probably wouldn't exchange it. I do. Just when everyone thought that the exchange had failed, and even Lord Zhending looked disappointed, a hoarse and rich voice instantly attracted everyone's attention. Looking at the tall young Taoist priest not far away, wearing a green robe, Zhending Daijun said with surprise. Fellow Taoist, do you really mean what you say? Su Junming nodded. He now has 5 spiritual weapons in his hand. The statue of Emperor Guan, the heavenly thunder drum, the red fire god's light, the red copper gun and the newly acquired wind and thunder wings. The statue of Guandi and the heavenly thunder drum are natal magic weapons and cannot be sold. There are 3 pieces left. The red fire divine light has many magical uses, and Su Junming doesn't want to sell them. Copper and wind and thunder wings, it doesn't matter. But since Ren Xiang is by his side, the red copper gun that he snatched from him cannot be exposed. In the end, there are only wind and thunder wings. Su Junming spread his palms. Ziking's spiritual light flashed, and a pair of wings composed of 720 magical swords appeared on his chest. Master Kongwen and Gongyun looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. They saw with their own eyes that 7 days ago, Su Junming used a thunder drum to break the sword wings of Wing Taoist Zhao Changming and killed him in one fell swoop. Unexpectedly, in just 7 days, the sword wings were repaired as before, and there were considerable improvements. He can refine weapons. The 2 of them understood instantly. Zhending Daijun looked at the wind and thunder wings on Su Junming's chest with great interest. Fellow Taoist, can you show me this spiritual weapon? After Su Junming nodded, he raised his hand and held the wind and thunder wings with his magic power and sent them to Zhending Dao Lord. Even in public, you are not afraid of being robbed by him. Senior Zhending, I want to see the 5 elements ring. Nature. With a wave of his hand, he handed the 5 elements ring to Su Junming. Divine consciousness immersed. 5 rays of innate spiritual energy of the 5 elements reflect into the sea of consciousness. I was secretly excited. In his opinion, the most valuable thing about this 5 elements ring is the 5 innate auras of the 5 elements. These wind and thunder wings are good. If you think Pandeo's 5 elements ring is suitable, we will exchange it. Junior is very satisfied, just as the senior said. Both of them got what they wanted, and both felt that they had earned it. Usually when we get here, it's time for the Dharma conference to end. Fellow Taoists. Holding the wind and thunder wings, Lord Zhending suddenly spoke loudly. Looking at everyone's eyes, they were all attracted to him. I have one more thing to do, and I will announce it to you through today's Dharma assembly. Turn to one side and move Ren Xiang from behind to the front. His name is Sidhu Xiang. He was originally a casual cultivator. He came to Yanqian 3 years ago and insisted on becoming a disciple of the old Taoist. The old Taoist intended to test his character and promised that if he could advance to the golden elixir within 3 years, he would be accepted as a disciple. Now, he has passed through the golden core heavenly tribulation 9 days ago. The old Taoist has also followed his promise and accepted him as a close disciple. Today, I invite all fellow Taoists to bear witness. Sidhu Xiang solemnly knelt at the knees of Lord Zhending. Disciple Sidhu Xiang pays homage to his mentor. After kneeling 3 times and kowtowing 9 times, Lord Zhending nodded with satisfaction. Today, as all fellow Taoists have witnessed, the old Taoist officially accepts you as a close disciple. I will give you these wind and thunder wings. I hope you can practice diligently in the future, contribute to the righteous way, and protect the welfare of the people. Ren Xiang raised his hands above his head, took the wind and thunder wings, and said loudly with a happy face. Disciples must remember the teachings of their teacher and not fall into the prestige of my true concentration. Congratulations to Mr. Dao for gaining a good disciple, there will be a successor to Zhending Guan. Congratulations to Mr. Dao. Su Junming saw it in his eyes. As an enemy, he couldn't help but admire Ren Xiang's situation. This guy can always find a way to back him up. Just 3 years after the death of the former Empress Jin Yuan, he found a stronger Zhending Dao Lord as his master. Moreover, he was given a spiritual weapon as soon as he entered the school. This treatment was much better than his own. However, he did not regret becoming a disciple of Taoist Master Simu. The foundation of Mission Nanzong was countless times stronger than that of a Zhending Taoist master. The Zhending Dharma conference ended amidst a chorus of compliments. After looking at Ren Xiang for the last time, Su Junming left Zhending Guan with Master Kongwen and Gong Yun. Return to Yunquan Temple. Master, I still want to continue traveling, so I'll take my leave. Fellow Taoist, don't you want to stay for 2 more days? I've been bothering you for a long time, it's time to go. Master Kongwen hesitated for a moment. Excuse me for being presumptuous, but my fellow Taoist knows how to refine weapons. When he took out the wind and thunder wings again, he knew that he couldn't hide it from the other party, so Su Junming didn't hide it either. Exactly. Master Kongwen and Gong Yun's eyes lit up at the same time. Befriending a master who can refine spiritual weapons is a rare opportunity. Do you have a communication talisman, fellow Taoist? If I wait until Nanhai, I might as well pay a visit, Gong Yun said quickly. They don't have any spiritual weapons to refine now, but there's no guarantee that they will have them in the future. If you have a communication jade talisman, you can come to ask for help. Su Junming took out 2 jade charms and handed them over. When you 2 arrive in the South China Sea, you can use this talisman to communicate. There is a trace of his divine consciousness in these 2 jade talismans. Using magic power, he can receive it within 1,000 miles. But if the distance is too far, there is nothing you can do. After the two of them put it away solemnly, Su Junming said goodbye and left. However, he did not leave the capital. Instead, he mobilized his magic power, changed his appearance, and quietly came to Yanshan. 30 miles away from Zhenshengguan, I found a cave to stay temporarily. I used a bronze mirror to peek at Ren Xiang and saw that he always stayed in Zhendiguen and almost never went out. Originally, he wanted to find out Ren Xiang's living habits, but since he didn't have the chance, he would go about his own business first. Riding the red fire divine light, it flew several hundred miles north and landed in a desert. No one will be found here anymore. He took out Zhufeng Mountain, flew in, and stood at the highest peak. Looking around this 100-acre cave world, Su Junming took out the 5 elements ring that he had exchanged from Zhending Daijun. After a brief glance, he threw it into the air. The red fire divine light behind his head turned into a red fire pillar, which hit the 5 elements ring with great force. It was on the verge of breaking, and exploded with a bang. Su Junming waved his hand, and the fragments fell into his palm. Although the spirituality of these fragments is greatly reduced, they can still be used if they are refined. The 5 colors are multicolored, 3 feet long, and as thick as a finger's spiritual energy, like a dragon and snake, circling and dancing in the air. Su Junming moved his fingers and practiced these 5 innate 5 elements spiritual energy rituals into Zhufeng Mountain. Boom! The entire world of Zhufeng Mountain seems to have taken the Shiquan Dabu pill and is expanding crazily in all directions. 1 mile, 10 miles, 20 miles, 60 miles. In the blink of an eye, the world of Zhufeng Mountain expanded from 10 miles to 60 miles. Outside Zhufeng Mountain, thunder surged and lightning gathered. The thunder catastrophe belonging to this heavenly magical weapon has begun. The Cave Heaven magical weapon, which is 60 miles in size, is equivalent to a mid-grade spiritual weapon in the 6th level of spiritual imprisonment. It is naturally easy to survive the thunder tribulation. Su Junming raised his hand and pointed. A black hole in mid-air led directly to the outside world, and all the thunder tribulations were taken in by Zhufeng Mountain. He used the heavenly thunder drum to collect the thunder from the thunder tribulation, and finally a piece of good fortune aura was left, which fell into Zhufeng Mountain. Counting the innate 5 elements spiritual energy that originally belonged to Zhufeng Mountain, plus the 5 elements of Su Junming's 5 elements ring, derived from the 7th innate 5 element aura given by the heavenly tribulation, Zhufeng Mountain rumbled and grew another 10 miles to 70 miles. The mountains that stretch for 70 miles are not big in the outside world, but they are not small mountains either. The main peak in the middle is even more than 100 feet high, becoming majestic. Feeling the rich power of the world in the Zhufeng Mountain Cave Heaven, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. If I can bring people in, unless their cultivation reaches the late golden core stage, they can be manipulated by me. His happy mood slowly subsided, and his brows wrinkled again. Ren Xiang obtained his wind and thunder wings and could fly as fast as lightning. Although he still had a dream of Huangliang's Bridge of Void, if he couldn't catch him by surprise and let the other party go to Zhending Dao Lord, he would be the unlucky one. Having let this guy slip out of his hands twice in a row, Su Junming said he didn't want it to happen a third time. Take out the 92,000 smelted red copper you just bought. I originally planned to use it to practice flying swords, but now I can only use it as an emergency. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 246. Chapter 242 Killing Ren Xiang. Dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Come in. A young Taoist priest in green wearing a round hat opened the door and walked in. Senior brother Sidhu, there is a female monk outside the door. She claims to be an old acquaintance of senior brother and has come to pay her respects. Ren Xiang nodded. Since he was accepted as a close disciple by Lord Zhending, many monks from all over the capital came to visit him, thinking only of having a romantic relationship and taking the opportunity to cling to him. Over the past month, he has become accustomed to it. Does this person have a greeting card? No, she said that senior brother will understand it when he sees it. He frowned. What does it look like? She is a very beautiful foreign woman. Beautiful foreign woman. Ren Xiang said in surprise. He did not remember that he knew any Western practitioners, and they were women. But considering that the visitor is very beautiful, let's meet her. Where is the person? Waiting outside the gate. You take her to Shoto Inn and I'll meet her there. Yes. The little Taoist priest left quickly. Ren Xiang tidied up his clothes and came to the courtyard where Su Junming and others attended the last Dharma conference. Sitting in the pavilion, he was also curious about who the visitor was. Not long after, a series of footsteps came. Under the leadership of the little Taoist priest in green, a slim and plump woman wearing a moon-white floral cheongsam walked in. Her golden hair was fluffy and spread on the back of her head, and her facial features were deep and delicate. While walking, her straight and white thighs catch the eye. Pair it with light brown high heels. The beauty that combines the East and the West is the top peerless beauty of this era. Even with Ren Xiang's experience, his eyes couldn't help but light up after seeing the person coming. Mr. Sidhu, it's really difficult to see you. Ren Xiang waved his hand. The little Taoist priest retreated knowingly. So many people have come to visit during this time that I have to excuse myself. However, if I had known that such a beautiful and elegant lady was coming, I think I would be very honored to meet you. The woman smiled faintly and stretched out her right hand. My name is Vivian. Nice to meet Mr. Sidhu. Looking at the slender jade hand stretched out in front of him, Ren Xiang, who had lived in the three towns of Jiangan for a short period of time and had contact with many Westerners, put his left hand behind his back, held the jade hand in front of him with his right hand, and kissed the back of the other person's hand gently. For a moment. It is a great honor for me to meet Ms. Vivian. Please take a seat. Thanks. After sitting down on the stone bench next to him, Ren Xiang made tea like a gentleman. Ms. Vivian's Chinese dialect is very standard. Thank you. It is not difficult for a monk to learn a new language. Ren Xiang smiled. How did Ms. Vivian know about me? I know a friend in the Chinese spiritual world. She said that Mr. Sidhu is already a count-level warrior at a young age and has a handsome appearance. I was curious, so I asked her for the address and found it myself. But what? Mr. Sidhu is indeed handsome, but is he strong? I don't think he is that powerful. Ren Xiang smiled slightly and released the suppression of his magic power. What now? Vivian's expression changed, and after calming down her thoughts, she shrugged. It seems I have to take back what I said before. Is Miss Vivian from England? Ren Xiang changed the subject. Mr. Sidhu been to England? No, but I have many friends in England. What are their names? Maybe I'll recognize them. Ren Xiang smiled lightly and didn't say anything. Looking at the tone, Miss Vivian is also a practitioner. Yes, I am a vampire. The two canine teeth at the corners of the lips snap back. Does Mr. Sidhu know about the vampire clan? Heard of it? Even killed one. Vivian picked up the teacup and took a sip. Mr. Sidhu doesn't have a good impression of our vampire clan. No, it's just that the guy was unlucky and offended me. If it were a stunning beauty like Miss Vivian, I would definitely not kill him. So, wouldn't it be a great honor for me? The honor is mine. The two chatted briefly for a while, and Ren Xiang kept asking about Vivian's background in a roundabout way. Seeing that it was almost done, Vivian stood up. I had a great time chatting with Mr. Sidhu, but it's time for me to say goodbye. It's almost noon, why not have lunch before leaving? No, a vampire, don't dare to stay on your Chinese Taoist territory for too long. He took 2 steps forward swayingly, stopped for a moment, looked back and smiled. I live in the British concession in Beijing, come and see me when you have time. A stream of white light flew towards Ren Xiang. After catching it, a line of awkward Chinese characters appeared in front of my eyes. Keep the above address in mind, look up again, and see that beautiful swaying figure has disappeared around the corner. A flame rose from his palm and burned the note. Vivian, she is so beautiful. The exotic charm on her body is even more alluring. If I can get her pregnant and leave offspring, I might be able to get another clone with amazing potential. Thinking of the benefits, the crazy smile on his face flashed away. As the night gets darker, I maintain my true concentration of resting at sunset, and become quieter at night. Suddenly, a white stream of light flew up and quickly disappeared into the southeastern night sky. 30 miles away from Zhendingguan, the shadow of a bronze mirror appeared in Su Junming's pupils. Standing on the top of the mountain, looking at the direction where the white stream of light disappeared, the corners of his lips were slightly raised. I originally thought I would come a few more times, but I didn't expect you to take the bait once. But it's normal. Even Monk Tang almost fell under the pomegranate skirt of the leader of my daughter's country, let alone you, Ren Xiang, who is full of 5 poisons. With one step, Hu Tianshen's magic was activated, and the whole person disappeared in an instant. A small independent building with British style in the British concession in Beijing. Ren Xiang examined it and found that his consciousness did not sense any other mana fluctuations or any danger, and then he rang the doorbell next to him. Footsteps came in, and with a creak, the small door next to it opened, revealing a young Indian face. Who are you looking for? Standard British Chinese can't be understood even if you don't listen carefully. He raised his eyebrows slightly. Miss Vivian, can you live here? The Indian nodded. My name is Sidhu Siang, and I am her friend. Look him up and down. Wait a minute. Jia closed the small door, and the footsteps faded away. After a short time, they trotted over again and opened the door. Miss Margaret, please come in. When a servant calls his master, he should of course use his surname. Ren Xiang still knows this. After entering the door, walk on a 2-meter wide hardened path, walk through the small garden in front, and come to the door. Climbing up the stairs and passing through the foyer, you will find a gorgeous living room with a distinct British style. Vivian changed into an exquisite evening dress and wore long white hollow gloves, looking noble and majestic. As he walked closer, the fragrant wind blew, making Ren Xiang feel nostalgic. Mr. Sidhu, we meet again. As he said that, he opened his arms and hugged Ren Xiang. Knowing that foreign women are more open-minded than Chinese women and that hugging ceremonies are very common abroad, Ren Xiang had no doubts. The warm fragrance of nephrite is in your arms, and the beauty is intoxicating. At this time, unless you are a Lu man who has no love for women, you will be addicted to it even if the gods come. At this moment, a black hole as big as a bowl suddenly appeared behind Ren Xiang's head, and a bronze bell flew out. Jingle bell. There was a crispness in the small voice. The distant ringtone penetrates the soul. As soon as he noticed the fluctuation of mana and before he could make any move, Ren Xiang felt dizzy and lost consciousness. A hill surrounded by white clouds flew out and took Ren Xiang into it under his hood. Everything happened in a flash of lightning. After all, he is a golden elixir monk, and the double heart magic skill to split the soul requires a powerful soul. After being taken into Jufeng Mountain by Su Junming, Ren Xiang woke up. He instantly took out his wind and thunder wings and ran away with lightning. The response is fast enough, but it's a pity that this is Jufeng Mountain Cave Heaven. Town. An unimaginable force of heaven and earth turned into an invisible giant mountain, and suddenly pressed Ren Xiang to the bottom. He tried his best to resist, but he couldn't break free. Don't waste your efforts. You can't run away this time. It's you. Seeing Su Junming coming in front of him, Ren Xiang's eyes were about to burst. It's me. Why? Why don't you always let me go? Seeing his crazy look, Su Junming shook his head. The cause and effect has occurred, and of course it must be ended. What's more, you must be punished for killing your father and ancestors. If you are let go, won't there be no justice in this world? Fairness. Bullshit justice. Cultivation is justice, magic power is justice, and big fists are justice. If you weren't stronger than me, would it be your turn to talk nonsense here? But if you kill me, you won't even think about it. My master, Zhending Daijun, is very good at calculations. As his close disciple, if I die, you will be buried with me, Ren Xiang said with a strong voice. Su Junming smiled lightly. You will die, but not by my hands. He stretched out his hand and a bronze soul-catching bell flew towards him with lightning. The clear and distant voice that penetrated into the soul sounded again. Ren Xiang resisted with all his strength. But the heavy pressure on his back sealed his golden elixir and body. With only his soul, he was powerless and soon passed out. It took me such a long time to train the soul-seizing bell into a spiritual weapon. How can this soul-seizing sound be so easy to resist? With a slap on the gourd on his waist, yellow rice flew out, quickly grabbing Ren Xiang's soul. With the help of magic power, scenes of past memories appeared in front of Su Junming's eyes. The more he looked, the angrier he became. This guy really deserves to be cut to pieces. It was just by chance that Ren Xiang received the inheritance of the Double Heart Sutra. But in order to practice magic, this guy used the financial resources of the Ren family to recruit women with excellent qualifications, and then he would have sex with them, making these poor women pregnant and giving birth to children for him. If these children have excellent qualifications, they will stay as hosts for their twin mind demon skills. If they are not good enough, they will harvest the innate chi that has not completely passed away from their bodies, and then refine their souls to increase the power of their own souls. These young children often die before they are even a month old. Judging from my memory, before Ren Wuji was born, hundreds of children were killed by him. These children are all his children. It is said that the tiger's poison cannot eat its seeds. This guy is simply a devil. He has completely lost all human emotions. At this moment, Su Junming wanted to give up his plan and kill this bastard directly. After taking a few deep breaths, but it didn't work, I had to give myself a shot of the soul talisman before I calmed down completely. He had never believed that there were born evil people, but he finally believed it at this moment. Moreover, the double heart magic technique splits the soul and sacrifices the essence of other people's souls to increase one's own soul power, which further aggravates Ren Xiang's evil thoughts. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 247. Chapter 243, Eternal Light Mirror. He took out the jade slips and recorded the skills in Ren Xiang's memory. The Sutra of Two Hearts. This technique, which directly connects to the soul, is extremely exquisite. It contains a lot of information about the way of the soul, which is of great reference for Su Junming's practice of the way of the soul. However, due to its side effects, this technique can only be used as a reference. The true solution so close. What surprised Su Junming the most was this technique. This is a Huishan Taoist method that leads directly to the immortal path, but it lacks the 3 stages of foundation building, innate and golden elixir, leaving only Yuanying, Yuanshen and immortal realm. Although he was a little regretful, if combined with the Mission Huishan talisman, and with the understanding of the bronze mirror, he was confident that he could complete a complete Huishan Taoist method. More importantly, the explanation of the Huishan Dao pointed out to him the future direction of practicing the Huishan Dao. The 8 views of the Shangyuan dynasty. Zhending Daijun's true teaching method is a Wuji method that truly integrates pure yin and pure yang. From foundation building to fairyland, it is very complete. For Su Junming, who majors in the Tao of Yin and Yang, it is no less precious than the true explanation of so close. In addition to these three most representative techniques, there are also some miscellaneous techniques. Su Junming also classified them into categories and recorded them one by one. By the time he finished recording, he had more than a dozen jade slips in his hand. After putting it away, he waved his hand, and a pair of sword wings surrounded by wind and thunder flew out from Ren Xiang's danshan. I didn't expect to come back so soon. With a satisfied smile, he erased Ren Xiang's mark and put it into his danshan. He waved again, and a rusty round iron plate slightly larger than an adult's hand flew into his palm. I learned from my memory that this iron plate, together with the true solution so close, was obtained by Ren Xiang from a waterhouse deep in the Yangtze River outside the three towns of Jiangan. Mid-grade spiritual weapon. Su Junming looked surprised when he felt 4 of the spiritual restrictions. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rays of innate space spiritual power. This turns out to be a high-grade spiritual weapon with 9 spiritual prohibitions. The round iron plate in Whirlpool's hand is full of joy. He originally thought it was just a low-grade spiritual weapon, but the result was far beyond his expectation. Compare the true solution so close with the content in this iron tablet. Zhouguang mirror, it turns out that this iron plate is a mirror. He stirred up the bronze mirror and realized that the various layers of restrictions in the close to true solution of the universal light mirror. He was proficient in the way of Huishan and also proficient in weapon refining. Unlike Ren Xiang, repairing the universal light mirror was not considered a problem. It's difficult. He waved again, and Ren Xiang's bag of magic flew into his hand. Not much stuff. A porcelain vase containing 20 Biang pills. A jade slip records the 8 views of the Shangyuan dynasty and the insights gained from practicing to the late stage of Jindan. It can be seen that it was written by Zhending Daijun himself. A piece of 1000 refined red copper the size of an apple weighs 12 taels. Now the red copper consumed in refining the soul calling bell has been replenished. A jade box 1 foot long, half a foot wide, and 3 inches high. The seal on it was removed, revealing a black-brown tree with eyebrows, eyes, hands, and feet, like the root of a full moon child. Feeling the medicinal energy inside, Su Junming felt happy. 1000-year-old Polygonum multiflorum. I really don't know how much merit this guy Ren Xiang has accumulated in his previous life. How can he have such a huge opportunity? Finally, there are 2 talismans. The powerful inspiration made Su Junming feel happy. Fortunately, I sealed his magic power right away. Otherwise, if the 2 magic talismans exploded, the 9 Peaks Cave Heaven wouldn't be able to seal him. These 2 spiritual talismans sealed the 2 styles of Zhending Daijun. And Lord Zhending Dao is a great monk in the late Jindan period, and he is very powerful. His consciousness swept over Ren Xiang's body, and he checked it again with a bronze mirror before feeling relieved. He activated Yimeng Huang Liang, weakened most of his soul, cleared all his memories, and then returned to his physical body. Looking at Ren Xiang, who opened his eyes and was confused. He no longer has any threat. Make sure he doesn't die first, otherwise there will be a reaction from Lord Zhending Dao. After dealing with Ren Xiang, Su Junming put away various things into categories, and then came to the second mountain. Zhufeng Mountain has 9 mountain tops. Except for the main peak in the middle, which Su Junming simply and crudely named First Mountain, the rest are divided into the second mountain, the third mountain, the fourth mountain, and up to the 9th mountain. The first mountain is his cave and the place where 1000-year-old spiritual peaches are planted. On the second mountain, he planned to cultivate elixirs. Come to the top of the mountain and take out the Millennium Polygonum multiflorum that you just got. The 1000-year-old elixir has been channeled, and as soon as he is free, he immediately burrows into the ground. Su Junming didn't care about it. It was like a newly bought dog. It had to adapt to the new environment before it could slowly call this place home. After leaving Jufeng Mountain, he looked at Vivian waiting outside. Take her in for now. Su Junming stimulated a dream of Wang Liang and solved the English family's ecstasy. Lord Zhending Dao felt inexplicably uneasy. He counted with his fingers and frowned. Get up, unlock the seal, and exit the seclusion. Is there someone coming? Hearing the patriarch's shout, the middle-aged Taoist who was guarding outside quickly opened the door and walked in. Master Xiao Yang, is your junior brother in the temple? This disciple has been guarding the master's place of cultivation and has not left. I don't know what my junior brother is doing. Lord Zhending nodded and stepped out of the room. Like lightning, he quickly arrived at the yard where Ren Xiang once lived. Master! The little Taoist priest who was cleaning quickly came forward to greet me. Your uncle can be in the room. Reporting to Master, I haven't seen my junior uncle for a month. January. Yes. The little Taoist priest nodded quickly. Do you know where he went? A month ago, a Western woman came to visit my junior uncle. When my junior uncle went out in the evening, he never came back. Western woman. Lord Zhending frowned. Master, what happened to my junior brother? Asked the middle-aged Taoist who followed. Lord Zhending shook his head. I sent a warning from the spiritual platform. After a few calculations, I figured out that your junior brother was in trouble. But I couldn't figure out what happened to him. It seemed like a force blocked my calculation. Master Dian Shen is considered to be the best in the world of cultivation. Is there anything else that you can't figure out? The laws of heaven are impermanent. After shaking his head, Lord Zhending walked into the room and sat down on the futon. Xiao Yang, you protect the law for me, and I will do my best to do some calculations to see if I can figure out the whereabouts of your little junior brother. Yes. When Master Zhending was urging him to calculate, Su Junming came to the ghost world of the Eisenjuro family, 100 feet deep under the Forbidden City. Turning over his hand, a round mirror the size of a bowl, with dragon and phoenix seals on the back and a clear water-like front appeared in his hand. It took him a month to finally repair the restrictions in the Zhoguang Divine Mirror. Let this treasure restore the full power of his 9 spiritual forbidden high-grade spiritual weapons. As soon as the magic power was activated, a clear mirror light as clear as water shone on the thick boundary wall of the ghost world in the underworld. The once solid boundary wall quickly softened after being illuminated by this mirror light. In the blink of an eye, a hole as thick as a water tank appeared in front of me. Su Junming flew in, and Zhou Guangjing also flew in. The mirror light shone on him, followed by a burst of spatial fluctuations. All the mana, aura, and figure around him disappeared. As a top-grade spiritual weapon in the Zhoguang Divine Realm, it can help people move 500 miles in an instant. You can also create a space instantly. This space can be large or small, the larger one can be up to 90 feet, and it can contain humane magic and move attacks. The small one can only be used for shelter. Unless a person is nascent soul, or is proficient in space Taoism, or like Su Junming, has a bronze mirror to see through illusions, otherwise it will be difficult to detect even if they are face to face. Now Su Junming used the eternal light mirror to open up space and hide in it. Su Junming, who had already understood the layout of the ghost world through the bronze mirror, flew straight towards the huge city hidden in the darkness in the middle. Countless ghost soldiers and generals passed by in the middle. The large number and tight protection made Su Junming secretly sigh. If he hadn't repaired the universal light mirror, he would have been discovered as soon as he approached the city. Walking through the streets and aisles, we finally came to a large hall in the center. This hall is somewhat similar to the Hall of Supreme Harmony in the Forbidden City, but it is completely black, giving it a more majestic and solemn appearance. There were not many Yin soldiers around the main hall, but sitting cross-legged on the square in front of the hall was a bearded general with a black helmet and black armor, a giant sword in his hand, and a leopard head and eyes. The evil energy on his body was as heavy as that of a general on the battlefield who had passed through thousands of troops and killed countless people. This guy definitely has the third level of Jindan. Su Junming took a deep breath and recalled in his mind the plan he had simulated countless times. You must not make a mistake. If you do, all your efforts will be wasted. Summon the soul-stirring bell and dreamy yellow beam. He took a few steps forward, not daring to get too close. The innate spiritual sense of Jindan monks is very sharp, and if they are too close, they can easily scare others away. But 3 feet is enough. Take a deep breath. Su Junming fiercely urged the soul-seizing bell. A clear and distant ringtone rang instantly. The ghost general's expression froze. Suddenly a dreamy yellow beam was thrown out. The Dharma realm of the universe. After refining the golden elixir and soul of winged Taoist Zhao Changming, Yimen Huangliang is now a top-grade magic weapon of the 7 Taoist treasures. The power of the universe Dharma realm is tyrannical. 365 grains of yellow rice turned into 100-mile yellow rice realm, sealing the ghosts and generals within it. At the same time, he threw Ren Xiang out. Who? Following the low and majestic voice, an astonishing aura surged from the hall like overwhelming force. Su Junming was multitasking, manipulating Ren Xiang through the puppet talisman and suppressing the ghost general inside through Huang Liangmai. Ren Xiang unceremoniously took out a black and white jade talisman from the magic bag. After crushing it, an astonishing yin and yang spiritual light shot up into the sky. In an instant, a giant Tai Chi diagram with a size of 70 feet appeared in mid-air. Would ye conquer the demon? Go. Tai Chi 2 hit the main hall like lightning. Before it touched the main hall, a bright sword light, like lightning passing through the air, collided with the Tai Chi diagram. Boom! The thunder-like sound shook the ghost world thousands of miles away. A short and stocky figure wearing black armor and holding a long knife walked out of the hall amidst the sound of clang footsteps. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 248. Chapter 244, The Inspiration of Good Fortune. The black-armored ghost will look at Ren Xiang in mid-air. Who are you really, old man? You can't control it? Leaving Ren Xiang here to hold him back, Su Junming quietly walked towards the main hall. Shua. The sharp and domineering sword energy came in a horizontal slash. Although the ground paved with yin stones was restricted, a crack more than 10 feet long was instantly cut open. Su Junming was sweating on his forehead and his Taoist robe clung to his body. The knife just passed across his face. If it had been missed by another 3 inches, it would have hit his forehead. Nurichi looked at the empty space and frowned. Just now he vaguely felt that there was someone there, so he cut him with a knife. However, nothing unusual was found. Just about to make another cut. The yin and yang spiritual light in the air became stronger again. His attention was also drawn to it. Seeing that the attraction of the black-armored old ghost was being attracted by Ren Xiang, Su Junming no longer hesitated and slipped into the hall under the protection of the Zhoguang mirror. Regardless of anything else, he went directly to the center, next to the silver-white dome placed on the altar. The closer you get, the stronger the chill that pierces your heart becomes. The altar is obviously also a magic weapon, and has strong restrictions on it. However, this restriction is useful to others, but not to Su Junming, who understands the Taoism of space. Hu Tianshen passed the magic in an instant, and without hesitation, he took out Jufeng Mountain and took in the 10-foot-long phoenix egg. You wanna die? Sensing something strange behind him, Nurichi turned around subconsciously, just in time to see Su Junming taking the phoenix eggs into Jufeng Mountain. With anger, he slashed out with a sword, and the light of the sword, which was nearly 100 feet long, came in an instant. The forbidden method to protect the phoenix egg blocked the sword light, and after holding on for a few seconds, it was broken like a soap bubble. But these few seconds were enough for Su Junming to use the Hu Tianxian technique to move out. Seeing the enemy disappearing and Nurichi having his family's treasure taken away, he was furious and was about to rush out. He saw the guy flying straight towards him in the air. Nurichi, who was originally worried about Zhending Dao Lord and only prepared to capture this guy, slashed at him in anger. Su Junming, who had intended to divert trouble to the east, mobilized the backhand in Ren Xiang's body. With a boom, the golden elixir and soul were all shattered. The golden elixir monk self-destruct, with powerful power, as strong as Nurichi, and his steps were also blocked. Damn it! He raised his hand and clapped it, and the mighty power of the Yinlai cave gathered into 100-foot-long hand, directly extinguishing the aftermath of Ren Xiang's self-destruction. Swish! More than a dozen figures wearing dragon robes, old and young, came in lightning. Ancestor, what happened? Seal the cave and thoroughly investigate the ghost world. Someone has stolen the phoenix eggs. Nurichi looked extremely gloomy. What? All the ghosts were frightened. The phoenix eggs were the treasure of their Ixangeluo family. They were always guarded by the ancestors with the highest cultivation level. Unless they were nascent souls, they could not be stolen. Ancestor. Before he could finish speaking, the ghost world shook violently. An angry voice came in. Nurichi, return my disciple Situ Xiang. Nurichi's face was gloomy. With his intelligence, he could naturally see that he was tricked by the person who stole the phoenix egg. Not only were the clan's spiritual objects stolen, but Situ Xiang's death was also blamed on him. Moreover, Situ Xiang had already self-destruct, and the yellow mud fell into his crotch. It was either shit or shit. Don't worry about him. First find the thief who stole the phoenix eggs. Even though he was angry, Nurichi still understood the importance. No matter how powerful Zhending Daojun is, he is still in the late stage of Jindan. If he dares to come in, he can kill him with the power of the cave. After the ghosts responded, they retreated. But at this moment, Su Junming had already escaped from the ghost world with the help of the eternal light mirror when Ren Xiang blew himself up, and he would definitely not be found if he looked for it. Taking one last look, Dao Lord Zhending, who was angrily attacking the ghost world, took a step forward, urged Hu Tianxian to perform his magic, and came to the ground in an instant. After spending more than half of the mana, the power of the eternal light mirror was maximized. The mirror's light flashed and it was 100 miles away. It was only then that Su Junming finally breathed a sigh of relief. I sat down, feeling exhausted. Although it only takes 3 or 4 seconds from the time when the ghost general is captured to the time when he escapes from the Ixangeluo family. But he felt as if a century had passed. The feeling of wandering on the edge of life and death is so damn tiring. Lying on the ground, the Taoist robe on his body was completely wet with sweat, and it stuck to his body sticky, which was quite uncomfortable. Although a dust-repelling spell can solve it, Su Junming no longer wants to move. He just wants to lie down and quietly experience the exhaustion and joy after success. It wasn't until a quarter of an hour later that his mood calmed down a little, and he slowly sat up from the ground. Entering Jufeng Mountain, after he took the phoenix egg into Jufeng Mountain, it happened to land on the top of the third mountain. In just a moment, the top of the third mountain was turned into a piece of white ice by the freezing power overflowing from the phoenix eggs. The entire phoenix egg is in this solid ice. Feeling the ocean-like, almost boundless life essence in it, Su Junming couldn't help but marvel at the power of a fairy bird like the phoenix. If it can be swallowed, his physical cultivation may be able to directly break through the Yuanying, and even the Yuanshen is possible. But this is just imagination. The shell of the phoenix egg is extremely tough and has powerful spell-breaking ability. Even if you use the way of space, you can't get past it. As soon as he patted the gourd on his waist, a grain of 9-colored yellow rice flew out. Just as he released Zitong, before he could ask any questions, he saw her flying towards Phoenix Egg with an excited expression. The hard shell that could withstand the magic weapon seemed to have no hindrance to her. In Su Junming's surprised eyes, she just flew in. In an instant, a strong spiritual energy of creation descended from the sky and split into two after entering Jufeng Mountain. 70% of it was absorbed into the Phoenix Egg and 30% was absorbed into his body. By swallowing the Biang pill, Su Junming has reached the second level of the Golden Pill. His 40-acre Danshan has absorbed the spiritual power of creation and expanded rapidly as if he had taken the Shiquan Dabu pill. 43, 45, 48. 50. 50 acres means the third round of the Golden Elixir is complete. The power of creation has not yet stopped, and the barrier in the middle stage of the Golden Elixir is quickly crossed. It didn't stop until after 69 acres. 60 acres is the fourth level of the Golden Elixir, which is the middle stage of the Golden Elixir. If you can reach 70 acres, you will have entered the fifth level of the Golden Elixir. Feeling the changes in his Danshan, Su Junming was extremely satisfied. He only felt that he could dissolve the demonic energy of the 9 sons of heaven in Zitong and send her back home for reunion, then go to the capital and survive a narrow escape to seize the Phoenix Egg. All this effort is worth it. Although he still has 1 acre to reach the fifth level of the Golden Core, this abundant spiritual energy of creation has improved his cultivation by nearly 3 levels and saved him 50 years of hard work. Unprecedented satisfaction came to my mind. Opening his eyes, he saw a lively vitality in the huge Phoenix Egg not far away. Alive. I remember that just now this was a dead egg. It's true that people have to die when comparing with others, and goods have to be thrown away when comparing goods. This person who was born with a phoenix life has a chance to be resurrected even if he died unexpectedly, and he was directly blessed with a phoenix egg. This is really. He didn't know what to say because the way of heaven was biased. Suddenly, a message was transmitted from the phoenix egg to Niwen Palace along with his spiritual consciousness. Su Junming was stunned. Yeah, this really got me. Just be an apprentice. There's no shame in having a phoenix as your apprentice. However, for a phoenix that has been dead for who knows how long, it will take who knows how long it will take for it to be born in this world of law-ending environment. As soon as he finished his thoughts, he saw a storm rising in his Jufeng mountain. The thick spiritual power of heaven and earth flew from the void and was instantly sucked into the phoenix egg. About a minute or two later, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth rolling away suddenly stopped and dispersed into Jufeng mountain. Thanks to this blessing, the spiritual energy in the entire Jufeng mountain quickly increased several times. The peach tree in the first mountain has branches and leaves swaying, and countless pink and white flowers grow out. The 1,000-year-old Polygonum multiflorum in the second mountain, as well as some of the spiritual herbs that Su Junming had planted before, were also absorbing spiritual energy and growing significantly faster. About 4 or 5 minutes later, a huge swallowing sound came from the phoenix egg again, and most of the spiritual energy in the mountain was sucked away. At the same time, countless spiritual energy was replenished. After 2 or 3 minutes, the swallowing stopped, and Jufeng Mountain's spiritual energy returned to its previous concentration. Seeing the swallowing and inhaling going on, as if breathing, Su Junming frowned slightly and walked out of Jufeng Mountain. He sensed carefully and could not detect any abnormalities at all. Everything is the same as before, there is no sign of swallowing a lot of spiritual energy. I really don't know where all this spiritual energy from heaven and earth comes from. Although it is unclear, it is not a bad thing. The concentration of spiritual energy in Jufeng Mountain is several times stronger than that in the outside world, and it is even much stronger than the spiritual energy in the southern sect of Mission Mountain. An environment with such a rich aura is a good thing for both your own cultivation and the elixirs and plants you plant in it. He took out a dream yellow beam and looked at the ghost general who was sealed inside. With Su Junming's current cultivation level approaching the 5th level of the golden core, it was much easier to deal with it. However, the ghost general who refined the 3rd level golden elixir, Yimen Huangliang's 8th treasure ban, was also derived. He glanced north. Regardless of whether Zhending Daijun and the Ixinjiluo family turn their human brains into dog brains, or vice versa, he has no intention of participating anymore. At times like this, staying out of the situation is the right thing to do. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 249. Chapter 245 Return to the Black Ming Valley. Boom. The thunder was everywhere, but no matter how it fell, it could not affect the 30-foot-long bronze drum in mid-air. After the last tribulation thunder passed and Vivian absorbed the spiritual power of creation, her aura instantly increased. Soon, the Danshan grew to 30 feet, and a round golden elixir, full of pure yin magic power, emerged from the Danshan. Holding the thunder drum, Vivian slowly fell down and came to Su Junming. With a wave of his hand, the thunder drum flew down into his palm. Feeling the rich thunder power in it, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. Now, the role of the protector god in the innate stage will become smaller and smaller for him. There happened to be a lot of Biang pills in his pocket, so he simply upgraded their cultivation to innate perfection, and then used his own heavenly thunder drum to survive the catastrophe. It is said to be a heavenly tribulation, but in fact it is more like a weapon tribulation. After all, the Dharma Protector General is just a corpse without a soul, not a monk. Looking at Vivian, Su Junming's heart moved. The red copper flew out from Danshan and fell into her palm. You can use this spiritual weapon from now on. Considering that Vivian has played a considerable role in several specific scenes recently. From now on, it will be safer if I have a spiritual weapon close to me in this Yuzhen temple. Borrowing a bronze mirror and looking at Li Yui who was teaching Pingan how to read in Yuzhen temple, Su Junming nodded secretly. It was the right thing to send this little guy here. You go back. When the little guy is older, send him to school. Remember, don't teach him to practice. If something happens, I will ask the blue bird to pick you up. Vivian nodded, took off into the air, and flew back to Yuzhen temple. This Yuzhen temple is no more than 500 miles away from the 3 towns of Jiangan. With Ren Wuji's clone, he can freely control her to teach Li Yui and Pingan. Time to go. A pair of thunder and lightning entwined, sword wings with a length of 3 feet stretched out from the back, and when they flapped their wings, they reached 100 feet in an instant. Flying rapidly towards the southwest. 5 Zhang Peak Cave Sky. In the wooden house, the heat that once was no longer felt. The big hole in the ground sinks hundreds of feet, and only then can you see the hot and boiling magma below. Above the vast magma pool, a 12-foot-tall 4-story pagoda shimmered, and a large amount of magma was sucked in every moment. Every time you inhale a little bit, the breath on the pagoda becomes stronger. Directly under the magma pool, a bald man with muscular muscles and a strong breath was sitting cross-legged. Although the muscles and skin were burned red by the ground fire, there were no burns on his body. Standing at the entrance of the cave, Su Junming frowned slightly as he looked at Lu Pan, who was cultivating with earth fire below. Is this really appropriate? He, don't worry. This is called forging a golden body with earth fire. In just 1 month, he has successfully opened the Tianqi point, and his training is absolutely fast. But, it consumes a lot of elixirs, Ren Wuji said with a smile. Su Junming nodded. Now that I am refining Biang Pill, I have a 70% success rate, and there are also a lot of spiritual peaches left. There is no need to worry about the pill for the time being. This is the best. If you can continue to practice like this, in less than 10 years, Pan will be able to open the 37th Ache appointment and advance to the late stage of Jindan Renwiji said. You have to be careful, don't roast it too much and destroy a good Dharma protector. I'm still waiting for the orange gourd to mature and let him be the Fuchsia soul clone. Don't worry, I'm measured. Su Junming nodded. Give me his black dragon armor and coiled dragon halberd. What? This trip to the west, if there is a chance, I will train them into spiritual weapons. Renwiji waved and handed him the black dragon armor and coiling dragon halberd. You've always had good luck. Especially this time, not only did you get a talented phoenix disciple for nothing, but you also suddenly became a master of the 5th level of the golden elixir? Where can you reason? There's no point in being jealous, keep a good watch on the fire eye. Renwiji curled his lips and stopped talking. Glanced at him. Are you going to keep this childlike image forever? This is great. It can also make people relax their vigilance at critical moments. You are really insidious. How can I compare to you? A master of cross-dressing. Su Junming twitched the corner of his mouth. This guy has become less and less cute since he became his own avatar and had independent thoughts. He raised his right hand, and the bronze thunder drum emerged. Give. What? I will soon go west to Kunlun. The guardian gods will stay here to exorcise corpses and accumulate merit. During this period, let them take Biang pill to accumulate mana, survive the catastrophe, and achieve the golden pill. With the Tianluo umbrella and my yin-yang great mill, it's enough for them to survive the thunderstorm. Of course I know this. I want you to use the thunder drum to gather the thunder, and then refine it so that you can create the 4th spiritual taboo. You guys really don't suffer at all. Renwiji waved his hand and took the thunder drum over. When it's finished, I'll ask the blue bird to pick it up. Know it? Renwiji waved his hand lazily. Finally, he glanced at Pan, who was practicing in Huoyan, and turned around. I am leaving. Hey, why don't you go take a look at that silly boy outside? He really wants to worship you as his teacher. Let him practice. Whenever he breaks into the Golden Core realm, he will be the successor of my Su Junming. Spreading his wings, he left the wooden house and flew straight to the sky above the cave. Qin Zhong, who was squatting while carrying a huge boulder 3 feet in size, seemed to sense something. He raised his face as if washed with water and looked into the air. Nothing could be seen except the blue sky that never seemed to change. 998, 999, 1000. Boom. Put the boulder down and let the sweat roll down the knotted muscles. The black pants had long been soaked and clung to her thighs, revealing her wild outline. He took a breath, stretched out his hand, and the porcelain bottle on the stone next to him flew into his hand. He opened the seal on it, poured out a yellow pill and drank it. Feeling the warmth spreading in your belly, you felt refreshed. He quickly put the porcelain bottle back in its place. With a boom, he picked up the boulder. He took long strides and started running around the Wuzhang Peak Cave. After leaving Wuzhangfeng Cave Heaven, Su Junming returned to Haiming Valley. Falling to the top of the mountain, looking at the vigorously growing medicinal garden, he nodded with satisfaction. That silly cat is really doing his duty. Take out Jufeng Mountain and move the elixirs grown in the medicine garden to the second mountain and put them together with the 1,000-year-old Polygonum multiflorum. Just as they were about to harvest the yellow rice planted on another mountain, they saw a stream of light rushing up from the valley. Damn medicine thief, you are so brave, you actually stole it from me. Following the scolding sound, a sharp sound broke through the air. Su Junming smiled faintly, raised his right hand, and the runes on his palm flickered. Certainly. In an instant, a snow-white bone spur nearly 2 feet long solidified in mid-air. Bastard! Seeing clearly that it was Su Junming, Mao Miao Miao exclaimed, but quickly reacted. A fawning smile appeared on the cat's face. Master, why are you back? If I don't come back, I still don't know that I have a nickname here. The smile on Mao Meow Meow's face grew even brighter. Meow meow meow, sir, I really like you. You see, I never dare to be careless in the things I tell you. After saying that, the cat's paw pointed, and there was still half a herb on the bare mountain top. The corners of his mouth twitched. Where's the medicine? Seeing her silly look, Su Junming smiled, took a step, and reached the top of another mountain in an instant. As soon as the magic power was activated, surging suction force came from Jufeng Mountain. The vigorously growing rice fields and the spiritual soil below were all sucked in. Together with the tea garden behind and the Diang grass at the bottom of the valley, he placed it on the fourth mountain. Return to the cave and come to the lotus pond in the front cave. After all, they are also spiritual seeds, and they were all transplanted to Jufeng Mountain. Put the jade slips in the library into his cave in the first peak. The alchemy cauldron in the alchemy room was taken away by the little bluebird last time. Finally, Su Junming walked to the innermost quiet room. Use your magic power to remove the restrictions above and push the door open. On the large stone bed, there was an olive-shaped black seed the size of a basketball. He moved the bronze mirror to look at the seeds. Even the phoenix eggs couldn't block the light from the mirror, so he couldn't see through the seeds. However, the vitality revealed by the seed is obviously stronger than when I first got it 8 years ago. Collect it in Jufeng Mountain and put it in your treasure room in the first mountain. It is juxtaposed with the 2000 smelting white iron, the 1000 smelting red copper, the 1000 smelting refined iron, the 1000 smelting mithril, and the 102,000-year-old spiritual peaches that have not yet been refined into elixirs. After cleaning up these things, there was nothing he missed in the entire Black Ming Valley. Mao Meow Meow, who was originally curious about the hill in his palm, now also saw the clues. Sir, are you moving away? Su Junming nodded. I have a better place to live, and I will leave this black underworld valley to you. Ever since the phoenix egg appeared in Jufeng Mountain, its spiritual energy has become increasingly strong, and now it has surpassed that of Haiming Valley. And it can move with itself, so in comparison, the black underworld valley becomes dispensable. As he waved his hand, a stream of black light flew in front of Mao Meow Meow. The light faded, revealing a black shield. I promised you at the beginning that if you take good care of the elixirs in the Black Ming Valley, I will give you a top-quality magic weapon as a reward. This iron shield was made by me with my own hands. It is a truly top-quality magic weapon from the 12 treasure forbidden caves. Your white bone spurs, one for attack and one for defense, complement each other, so accept it? Mao Meow Meow opened her mouth, but the words in her stomach were stuck in her throat, but she couldn't say anything. From now on you are free, practice well. He reached out and made a move, and a blue soul-binding talisman flew from Mao Meow Meow's sea of consciousness, fell into his palm, and disappeared. With one step, Su Junming's figure disappeared, leaving only the whisper of words. Practice well and don't do evil. Look at the empty cave, and then look at the shield floating in front of you. Although it was the ultimate magic weapon that she longed for, Mao Meow Meow couldn't feel any joy at all. Arriving at the top of Haiming Valley, overlooking the vast valley. After a moment of silence, he opened his left hand, and the aura of the eternal light mirror flashed. In a moment, a huge black hole with a diameter of nearly 10 feet emerged. Sensing the movement, the Xianqing spirit snake and thunder frog in the valley looked up at the same time. Feeling the strong pressure from the young Taoist above, the two beasts instantly understood. The middle stage of golden elixir. Fortunately, we didn't make enemies in the first place. This person's cultivation has improved too quickly. Snake Lady felt dark in her heart. As soon as the thought came to an end, I suddenly realized something was wrong. Turning his head with a swish, a huge black hole suddenly appeared above the apricot tree that he cherished. The black hole pressed down and the almond trees disappeared. The next moment, it appeared in front of Su Junming. He took out Jufeng Mountain and put in the Bilingxian apricot that he had been thinking about for many years. Bring back the fairy apricot. Hearing the angry scolding, he looked at the Xianqing spirit snake flying from the valley. Su Junming's expression remained unchanged, and a red divine light shot up from the back of his head into the sky, crashing down like Optimus Prime. As soon as the Xianqing spirit snake touched it, a powerful force was instantly transmitted, and the body flew upside down for several dozen feet uncontrollably before regaining its balance. Click. Thick thunderbolts, like giant cannons, flew from the valley like lightning. Su Junming's expression did not change. He stretched out his right hand, the light red thunder talisman shone, and the fierce and domineering thunder reached a foot in front of him, and went away in an instant. It turned into strips of blue-white, extremely tame water, swimming in his palm. Impossible. Looking at Lei Wa, who was in disbelief, Su Junming smiled faintly. Nothing is impossible. After sealing the thunder, he threw it into Jufeng Mountain. Gazing across the hostile Xianqing spirit snake and thunder frog, Su Junming patted the gourd on his waist, and a blue flag appeared in his palm. This treasure is a top-quality magic weapon that he used to earn spiritual water after refining treasures for Chen Lingyun in the 3 towns of Jiangan. With a wave of his hand, the flag fluttered and came to the Xianqing spirit snake. This water-controlling flag was practiced by me. It has 12 treasure taboos. It is considered as compensation for taking away your apricot tree this time. In addition, I will leave this black underworld valley to you. I will not come back again. If you don't want to, I will also take away the apricot tree. If you think you can defeat me, then go ahead and do it. Su Junming turned his head and smiled. Big Toad, if you take action, you'd better get some luck, otherwise I'm afraid I'll be really angry and I won't be able to restrain myself, so I'll kill you. God, arrogant. Although he said this, General Clam was wary. The scene where his own thunder was easily dispelled by the other party just now really made it wary. Xianqing spirit snake looked at the wild and domineering young Taoist opposite him, opened his mouth and swallowed the water control flag. You go. Snake lady, have you given up? General Clam's spiritual consciousness transmitted the message. His cultivation level is no less than ours, and he also has 2 spiritual weapons with him, especially the mirror, which is at least a middle-grade spiritual weapon. The 2 of us combined may not be his opponent. I don't think he has murderous intentions. Can the 2 of us work together to find out what's going on with him? So what if we find out? With the space magic at his side, he can easily evade our spells, and we will definitely lose in the end. In that case, why waste mana? General Ha's tone was stagnant and he stopped talking. He who knows the current affairs is a hero. Su Junming smiled. I hope you can keep your promise, Xianqing spirit snake said. Pandeo never breaks his promise. Withdrawing the red fire divine light and the Zhouguang mirror, he activated Hu Tianshen to perform the technique and left the black underworld valley in an instant. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 250. Chapter 246, Long Yellow Sand. Jingle Bell. The crisp and melodious sound of camel bells seems particularly distant in the vast world. The camel's wide feet stepped forward slowly on the soft yellow sand. Zhao Laozi looked numbly at the sand dunes ahead, as if they would never end. He shook his head and shook the clothes on his chest. After being soaked with sweat, it was sticky on his body, which was really uncomfortable. He took the kettle off the camel and took a sip of water to moisten his chapped lips. Although I was very thirsty, I still had to walk a long way to the next water source. Water, drink sparingly. At this time, a young Taoist riding a tall horse, wearing a green robe, with a green gourd hanging around his waist, and his eyes slightly closed came into view. This man was found by shopkeeper Zhao when they came out of Jincheng. It is said that it can catch ghosts and subjugate demons. Although I don't know whether it is true or not, this Taoist priest does have some abilities along the way. Apart from occasionally drinking water, I never saw him eat. Even the horse he was riding did not eat, drink, or buck. It's really strange. As if aware of his prying eyes, the Taoist opened his eyes and looked. Zhao Laozi's heart trembled and he quickly turned his head. Although this man's eyes were gentle, there was a strange pressure that made people dare not look directly at him. Su Junming shook his head slightly. These days, he has seen too many curious looks like this. When he left Haiming Valley, he did not fly directly to West Kunlun. Instead, he walked all the way through Shaanxi and Gansu provinces and reached the desert. Not only did I get to know the local customs, but it was also an experience for myself. Some strange things happened in the middle. For example, in Shaanxi province, he did not see the mausoleum of the first emperor. Originally, he planned to borrow a bronze mirror to see what secrets were hidden in this famous tomb, but his hope failed. Just when he was immersed in his own thoughts, the camel team suddenly made a noise. He frowned and looked into the distance. Along with the sky full of yellow sand, hundreds of horse bandits on horseback with guns rushed straight towards the camel caravan. These camel traders walking on the Silk Road naturally had guns, but due to lack of training, they were obviously overthinking the horse bandits who hid themselves behind the horses' necks, had superb riding skills, and were very fast. Papa! The sound of gunshots like fried beans soon rang out. Fortunately, the horse bandits' marksmanship was also poor. Although the fight between the two sides was lively, no one lost their lives except for a few unlucky ones who were injured. When the distance between the two sides shortened to 50 meters, the horse bandit pulled out the saber from his waist. At close range, of course, a knife without a bolt is more useful. Just when these horse bandits had wild eyes and screamed strangely as they were about to harvest their prey, green bamboo sticks all over the sky suddenly hit them. The bamboo stick was as fast as lightning, and before they could react, they were all knocked to the ground, including people and horses. Then the bamboo stick, like a snake, tied up all the horse bandits. In the blink of an eye, the threat was gone. The camel traders who were preparing to fight were stunned. We won. Most people cheered. After they calmed down a little, they began to think, who did it? The bamboo sticks all over the sky are obviously not ordinary means. Zhao Sihai saw the young Taoist sitting safely on the horse and quickly ran over with a few servants. Thank you, Dao Kangsu, for your generous action. Zhao is very grateful. After getting to know each other, even a poor Taoist can't ignore death. After a pause. How did you deal with the horse bandits when you caught them in the past? Killed. Kill them all, Su Junming frowned. The Taoist priest doesn't know that these horse bandits are called black skeletons. Any business travelers who are targeted will be silenced at every turn, and their methods are extremely cruel. If we can kill them all, it will be a great harm to the trade route. Su Junming nodded and took a look with the bronze mirror. Sure enough, everyone was full of resentment and no one was innocent. Huh. He stretched out his hand and a stream of black light flew from the chest of the horse bandit who was obviously the leader. It fell into his hand and turned into a small black flag. Julian banner? It seems there are practitioners behind these horse bandits. After thinking for a moment, I temporarily put the Julian flag into the gourd around my waist. Since these horse bandits are so heinous, let them be dealt with as you wish. Thank you, Taoist master. Zhao Sihai was overjoyed. He was really afraid that this Taoist was like those guys from Buddhism, who were compassionate regardless of good or evil, and would never turn back. The monks were merciful, but they would still be the unlucky ones in the future. Fortunately, Taoist Su is not as pedantic as those monks, Zhao Sihai thought to himself. When he was in Jinqing, he saw that Taoist Su had taught a few rough Ians a lesson and had some skills, So he came forward to invite him. Along the way, I didn't encounter anything unusual. I thought I had 30 taels of silver in vain, but I didn't expect that this time the other party would save me from life and death. 30 taels of silver is well spent. Come here, kill all these horse bandits for me. Camel traders and horse bandits are mortal enemies, so they will certainly not show mercy. Soon there were hundreds of corpses, stained with blood and yellow sand, dead on the spot. With a move of his hand, the bamboo stick returned to Su Junming's hand, carrying the ghosts of all the horse bandits. Slap the gourd on your waist and collect all the souls in a dream. If you save more in the future, you can send them to reincarnation. In a short time, Zhao Sihai packed up the battlefield, packed up the belongings obtained from the horse bandits, as well as the firearms and horses, and happily set out on the road. Night soon fell, and the camel team temporarily settled in an ancient city that was mostly buried in yellow sand. Daozang Su, these are the properties collected from those horse bandits. Please accept them. Looking at the gold and silver in the box in front of him, Su Junming was not polite. If he took the money from the gourd, he would have the capital to do some good deeds in the future. Zhao Sihai waved his hand, and the servant who came with him quickly placed a small box in front of Su Junming. After opening it, there was another neat silver coin. Daozang Su, the guns and horses of those horse bandits are also yours. However, if you can trust them, I will be willing to buy them at the market price. This will save you the trouble of running errands yourself. Jun Zhao is very thoughtful. Haha, Taoist master saved his life. Zhao should repay him 1 or 2 times. Looking at the thousands of taels of silver in the box, although Su Junming was not sure about the prices of the horses and firearms, the money was about the same. Smile lightly. I'll accept the money, but layman Zhao can handle the guns and horses by himself. Thank you, Taoist master. Zhao Sihai was overjoyed. With his connections, he can still make a lot of money by selling these things. Anything else? We will reach Kayamo City in 2 days. 120 miles southeast of Kayamo City is the Gagarol Peak you are looking for. Thank you. You're welcome. Then you can rest and I'll take my leave. Su Junming nodded. He came here to find the whereabouts of his master Li Changdao, and Gagarol Peak was the starting point. After watching Zhao Sihai leave, his magic power surged, the back of his head flashed with red light, and countless fire auras were drawn in. The strongest thing in the desert is the fire aura, so naturally we need to take advantage of the favorable location to practice more. My lord. Ren Wuji's soul transmitted the message. What's up? Ren Weong failed to overcome the tribulation. How is it possible? The golden core tribulation thunder can also break through your yin and yang great mill, Su Junming said in disbelief. The power of the tribulation thunder has increased. Promote. 5 thunderbolts will kill him directly. Su Junming was shocked. Impossible. There have always been only 3 tribulation thunders in the golden core. How could there be 5 tribulation thunders? I don't know either. The tribulation thunder followed one after another, and I felt that I would not stop until I killed him. Su Junming frowned and muttered to himself. Why is this happening? Ren Weong and Vivian are both his divine protector generals. There is no reason why the latter can survive so easily, while the former will be hacked to death. He urged Yi Gua to calculate, and after a moment he raised his head and looked at the sky. Heaven forbids it. My lord, I think the remaining Dharma protector generals should not go through the tribulation until the reason is figured out. The reason is already known. I was negligent before. What? The heavenly tribulation is a test for monks, and the weapon tribulation is a test for magic weapons. No one can interfere. As Ren Weong, as the protector general, he can only survive the heavenly tribulation by himself. We use the yin-yang great mill to help him. It's interference, and God won't allow it. Vivian, that foreign woman. She is lucky. She succeeded through my merit and protection. But other protector generals do not have such luck. I see. Su Junming sighed. Actually, I should have thought of it earlier. If the heavenly tribulation was so easy to pass, there would be no shortage of inherited spiritual weapons in all the major sections with their protection. The Golden Core heavenly tribulation would not be considered difficult, and it would not be difficult for each sect and sect to do so now. There are very few golden elixirs. Then what will happen to the remaining guardian gods? Let them drive away the corpses, and we won't be able to survive the catastrophe. Anyway, with our current strength, it's not difficult to catch some golden elixir monks. Don't waste your time on them, Su Junming said. You decide. How is Qin Zhong doing lately? That stupid boy. He's still the same as before. He's not done until he tortures himself to death several times a day. Su Junming pondered for a moment. Ask him what magical weapon he likes. What? Do you want to take him in? He has this plan. His perseverance is rare. If he can maintain it, he will have great achievements in the future. However, since I said that I will not accept him until he reaches the golden elixir realm, I can't break my promise now. You just want to save face. Okay, let me ask for you. By the way, I have you walk to West Kunlun. It will be there in 2 or 3 days. Tisk, tisk, it took 1 day to let you go for 3 months. It's really weird. Su Junming's face darkened. Ask the little blue bird to bring me the thunder drum. After that, he cut off the contact. Why is this bastard's mouth getting more and more vicious? He really doesn't have any of my style. He shook his head, looked at the starry night sky, sighed slightly, and continued to practice his red fire divine light. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 251. Chapter 247, Killing Demons in Kayamo City. As the night grew darker, more than a dozen wild wolves followed the smell of blood and dug out the body of the horse thief buried under the yellow sand. He bit into it with big mouthfuls, coagulated blood splashing everywhere, competing for this free and delicious dinner. Suddenly, a black lightning flashed through the air. The wild wolves sensed the danger, but before they could run away, they were pierced by black lightning and died on the spot. The lightning was like a living thing, killing these wild wolves. After a moment, it passed through the air and landed on the left shoulder of a man in green on the sand dune nearby. It turned out to be a small black snake 7 inches long and as thick as a chopstick. The man in green touched the black snake and looked at the dead bodies on the ground. No wonder I didn't go back. They all died here. I want to see if that caravan is so capable. Black Dragon, find them. The little black snake nodded, and after a moment of sensing, flew toward the southwest. The man in black took a step forward, as if he had transformed, and followed closely behind. Ring ring. The brass bell hanging on the bamboo stick suddenly rang. Su Junming, who was concentrating the red fire divine light, opened his eyes. It's really here. After his consciousness dispersed, about 5 or 6 minutes later, a small black snake broke into Su Junming's induction. What kind of snake is this? It has black scales all over its body, a triangular head with horns on top, and a mouth that takes up half of its head. Su Junming had never seen such a snake. Aha! The black snake seemed to sense something and suddenly stopped. The man in black noticed something unusual and stopped. Black Dragon, what's wrong? The little black snake shook its head left and right, but did not give him an accurate answer as usual. This little snake is really alert. The words rang out with a hint of curiosity in the clear air. Who? Come out. The man in black was extremely wary. At this moment, a tall Taoist suddenly appeared 3 feet in front of him. This Taoist was dressed in a green Taoist robe, with a thick iron needle on the top of his head that was randomly tied into a bun. He had a light stubble on his square face, with a tall and straight figure and a calm temperament. There is a yellow rope around the waist, with a green gourd hanging on the left and a brass bell the size of a child's fist hanging on the right. His left hand was free, and his right hand held a bamboo stick about 2 meters long. The bamboo stick has 12 sections, it is green and extraordinary. Who are you? What's strange is that you came to the door yourself and asked who Pandeo is, Su Junming said with a smile. Did you kill those horse bandits? It was the people from the caravan who killed them. Pandeo just caught them because they were full of resentment and had killed countless people. As expected, it's you. No wonder no one came back. Su Junming smiled lightly. Don't say it's them. You drove horse bandits, killed business travelers, and collected ghosts. You also violated the taboos of poor Taoists. You will die all the same. Humph, you're so arrogant. With a few finger gestures, the man in green opened his mouth and sprayed out, and the fierce flames came over him. Then he took out a clay pot from the pocket on his waist. After opening it, he activated his magic power and a stream of amber mucus flew into the flames. As if taking a big tonic, the scale and temperature of the flames instantly increased by several levels. Looking at the 10-foot sea of fire in front of him, the man in black had a look on his face. With such a flame, even a priest-level expert would be in a hurry. Suddenly, a red light flashed. The huge sea of fire disappeared into thin air. The man in green had a smile on his face. If he hadn't been able to feel the heat that hadn't dissipated in the air, he would have thought everything was just a dream. Impossible. Nothing is impossible. Su Junming, who did not intend to play the cat and mouse game anymore, opened his left hand. Seal up. Light flashed, and the black snake and the man in green seemed to be frozen, unable to move anymore. As soon as his heart moved, the yellow rice flew out and passed through the forehead of the man in black, imprisoning his soul. A burst of white energy rose, and the memory belonging to this person appeared in front of Su Junming. Persian Zoroastrian cult. These guys actually dare to go to the land of China to search for wealth and rob ghosts. They really deserve to be killed. The yellow rice fell and wrapped the man in Xingyi inside. Yimen Huangliang cannot accommodate living things, and if you enter it, you will die. As for this black snake, in the memory of the people in Xingyi, this kind of snake is called Zarath, which is the messenger of fire and the sacred snake of Zoroastrianism. Only apostolic-level core members who have made great contributions to the sect will receive a letter of recognition. The Chathura snake is sharp and alert, has a strong body, is extremely fast, and can control fire. Once it grows up, it will be of great help to the host. However, this kind of snake is cruel by nature and likes to eat the brains of humans and animals. Although it has potential, Su Junming does not like it. Use yellow rice to collect the soul. Let's use the snake meat as food for the little bluebird. Back at the station, the Zhao family's caravan was still sleeping, unaware that they had just avoided a fatal disaster. A few hours later, it was dawn. The caravan continued on the road. At this time, there were no roads in northwest China, let alone railways. All goods are transported by camel team. Therefore, the ancient Silk Road is still prosperous. Kayamo City had been covered under the yellow sand in Su Junming's previous life, but in this world, it was an important commercial town on the Silk Road. Camel caravans traveling from south to north gather here. Looking at this loess-walled city surrounded by oases, Su Junming walked in with the camel team. Because of the vast land and sparse population, the population of Mo City is at best the level of a coastal town in the eastern provinces. But here, it is already a big city. The Lois-filled main street gathers business travelers from the east and the west. There are many restaurants on both sides of the street. The smell of beef, mutton, and kumis combines with the smell of sweat from not taking a shower for 10 days and a half, and the smell of camel dung that fills the street. It becomes a unique smell that can only be smelled in the western regions. Odor. Those coming from the south and those going north, take a look at the big meat buns freshly baked. Hummus, the best hummus on the Silk Road. Grilled naan, crispy and delicious grilled naan. Guest, how many grilled naan would you like? The constant shouting made people who had been traveling alone in the desert for a long time become excited. Taoist master, this is Kayamo City. Su Junming looked at the city made of loess and nodded slightly. I have troubled you all the way, Master Zhao. Now I have arrived at my destination. Let's say goodbye here today. Daozang Su is serious. If it weren't for your help, Zhao would have been killed by the horse bandits, and that would still be today. Su Junming smiled and nodded. I wish Master Zhao a safe journey and lots of wealth. I say goodbye. After that, he took big steps and walked around the city. Looking at his leaving figure, Zhao Sihai sighed after staring for a while. This Taoist Master Su is a man of great ability. If he can stay with him, he will be safe this time traveling westward. It's a pity that the other party is a Taoist. He tried several subtle attempts but was rejected. After separating from Zhao Sihai, he originally planned to bypass Kayamo City and enter Kunlun Mountain directly, but not far away, the soul-stirring bell rang. Take a moment. Evil spirit. Looking at the small earth yellow town next to it. Looks like there's going to be a delay. Instead of looking for Zhao Sihai, Su Junming followed the direction of the evil spirit and came to a restaurant in Kayamo City. The restaurant is 3 feet off the ground, with the side facing the street half open. A few poplar pillars that were touched and shined support a thatched shed. There are more than a dozen wooden tables inside the thatched shed, and the lowest paved ground has become lumpy after being stepped on many times. On a large table next to it, there was boiling hot, oily mutton soup, which was fragrant. Then there was a large dustpan with roasted golden and shiny bags. Put a large bowl of mutton soup in a large coarse porcelain bowl, sprinkle with chopped green onion, soak it in the bag, take a bite, and your mouth will be filled with fragrance. The whole restaurant was filled with the sound of Zilaola drinking soup and eating meat. After briefly looking at the dusty plaque with the words Zhu's old shop written in Chinese characters and palindrome, Su Junming climbed up the stairs. Taoist priest, please come inside. The waiter at the Hui shop, with a towel on his shoulders, took the initiative to greet him. Su Junming nodded, glanced at the pretty shop owner in black clothes behind the counter, and walked in. Sit down at an empty table. The child wiped it diligently. Taoist priest, what would you like to eat? Su Junming glanced at him and said loudly. Who dares to cross the cross slope under the big tree? The fat ones are cut into steamed bun fillings, while the thin ones are used to fill the river. House lady, your meat is so fragrant, it can't be human meat, right? The female boss, wearing a black tube top dress and a gold hairpin, smiled charmingly. The Taoist priest is joking. I am not the Sun Erniang who makes human meat buns in water margin. My Zhu family's old shop has been in Kayamo City for more than 10 years. Who doesn't know? Who doesn't know? Do you think so? Yes, this Zhu family's old store has been open for many years. If it were a black store, I'm afraid I would have died long ago. That's right. I come here 2 or 3 times a day, but I can't live well, right? I think this Taoist priest is trying to trick people into eating and drinking. Everyone was talking a lot and looked at Su Junming with sarcastic faces. The female boss leaned her arms on the counter with a smile on her face and stared at Su Junming with cold eyes. It's ridiculous, it's ridiculous. A group of ordinary people, mortal with naked eyes, don't know when they are about to die. He shook his head. But I, the Taoist, have no sense of people. Even if you are stupid, you still have a life. Since the poor Taoist encounters you, you have to save him. Stinky Taoist, are you sincerely trying to embarrass me? The female boss in black said angrily. Who told you to eat people? The bamboo stick in his hand hit the ground heavily, and with a dong sound, a powerful magic power spread out from Su Junming's bamboo stick. You haven't shown me your true colors yet. Squeak. The waiter instantly transformed into a giant spider the size of a wash basin with black hair all over its body. And the female boss in black turned into a giant spider the size of a millstone, with bristles like arrows all over its body, and 6 long legs covered with barbs. The mutton soup also changed. The rotten mutton turned into human hands and feet. On the soup spoon, a skull squatted on it, looking at people with dark eyes. The floor of the inn is entirely paved with human skulls, while the walls are built with bones of dead people. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 252. Chapter 248 West Kunlun. Ouch, oh my god. Some people screamed in fear and collapsed on the ground, with feces and urine flowing out. Some people were frightened and fainted. Some people lay on the ground and vomited wildly. Even the boldest person will be frightened to death when he sees this hellish scene. Pity those business travelers who sleep in the open. They walk to Kayamo City with the hope of supporting their families and getting ahead. Instead of dying in the harsh desert and the mouths of those wild wolves, they were killed by you spider spirits. Stinky Taoist, my 6 desires illusion is a trick that can only be affected by the golden elixir level 3 or below. Why can you see through it? The giant black spider asked in shock. Su Junming unlocked the seal on his body, and the aura belonging to the golden elixir monk rose into the sky. Because Pandeo is the 5th level of Jindan. Black Spider was inexplicably shocked and suddenly rushed underground. Pandeo has been talking nonsense to you for so long, how could he let you run away? The Dharma realm of the universe. A white brilliance gathered from all directions and turned into a bright white sphere the size of an apple, falling into Su Junming's palm. A black widow with a peak innate ability actually killed hundreds of people in a busy city, but no one noticed. The Yaotai faction doesn't know what they are doing. Su Junming frowned. Each faction in the spiritual world has the responsibility to guard one side. For example, the areas guarded by Mission Nanzong are Guangdong, Guangxi, and Nanhai. Most of their disciples kill demons and eliminate demons here to maintain the peace of the practice world. Longhu Mountain guards Nanhu and Gan provinces, Mission Bazong guards Zhejiang and Fujian provinces, Shenxiao sect guards southern Anhui and southern Jiangsu. Due to its vast geography, Kunlun Mountain is divided into East Kunlun and West Kunlun. The people guarding East Kunlun are the Taoist Kunlun sect. The people guarding West Kunlun are the Yaotai sect. The Yaotai sect respects the Queen Mother of the West as its founder, and is part of Suanmen, but not Taoist. Shaking his head, fully carried those who were eating in the store to the street outside. They were also lucky. In order to avoid being discovered by others, the rabbits in this nest of spiders did not eat the grass beside the nest. They only harmed the passing business travelers and did not attack locals like them. Otherwise, how could they still be alive? The location where Zhu's old store once stood has turned into a huge pit. Having finished exterminating the demons, Su Junming was too lazy to get involved in the mundane affairs behind him and flew directly towards West Kunlun. The majestic Kunlun, with its mighty 5,000 miles and majestic mountains, has been the ancestor of all mountains in China and the source of dragon veins since ancient times. Standing on the top of the mountain, the strong wind roared around me, and the icy cold air penetrated into my bones. Su Junming was wearing hunting robes, overlooking the rivers and mountains, feeling as if he had the world under his feet, which made him feel infinitely heroic. Call. He let out a long sigh. Calm down the turbulent thoughts in your mind, activate the bronze mirror, and see everything within 100 miles. After a few glances, 1,000-foot peak had no secrets in his eyes. Compared with Jushu and Simu, who took several decades to search hundreds of mountains, Su Junming's efficiency was countless times faster. Moreover, due to their cultivation level, Jushu and Simu may not be able to detect all the secrets, but Su Junming's bronze mirror does not have this worry. As long as you look past it, if it doesn't exist, it really doesn't exist. Let's get started. As long as Master really falls in West Kunlun, I will be able to find clues. His eyes moved and he quickly took in a clear view of the mountain at his feet. After finding nothing, the target was moved. After passing more than a dozen mountains in a row, there was still nothing gained. It would not be wrong to say that there is no gain at all. There are still some low-grade spiritual materials in Dongzhen. However, Su Junming is now in the middle stage of the golden elixir. If he absorbs spiritual energy casually, he can create a low-level spiritual object of Dongzhen, so he is too lazy to collect it again. Unless he encounters the best Dongzhen or Dongxian, as well as the herbs and spiritual plants that he lacks in Jufeng Mountain. Suddenly, a trace of spiritual energy fluctuation came. Hey, do you have any fighting skills? Boom. After the violent collision, a black bear that was over 10 feet tall staggered and retreated. Opposite him, a 2-foot-long leopard turned over several times in the air before landing crookedly on the ground, barely hanging on. Roar. The black bear roared angrily, took a big step, and the rocks beneath his feet cracked. He waved the cooked copper stick in his hand and rushed towards the leopard like crazy. Looking at the black bear with red eyes, the leopard showed a trace of human anger on his face. The demonic aura around him surged, and a stone hammer beside him struck the black bear like lightning. There was another loud thunder-like sound, and the two demons fought together. However, their strength was quite different, and the grade of the magic weapon in their hands was also similar. After fighting for a long time, they were all out of breath, and there was no winner. Blind Xiong, you and I can't do anything to each other. How about sharing these 800 years of Poria Cocos equally? Go away, Mr. Xiong and I discovered this Poria Cocos first, why should I give it to you? Everyone who meets me has his share. Besides, you only arrived half a quarter of an hour earlier than me. That's also Mr. Xiong, I'll be here first. Hey, don't fool me with the same tricks as humans. We monsters have always valued strength. If you can't do anything to me, I will share half of this Poria. Don't even think about it, Black Bear said angrily. Then we'll fight again. Just fight, who is afraid of you? The two sides glared at each other, but they were tired after fighting for such a long time. They said a lot of harsh words but did not make any more moves. Hey, do you still want to fight me? Lazy words came from the left side. The two demons trembled and quickly turned their heads to look. I saw a green-robed Taoist sitting cross-legged on a piece of bluestone next to him, holding a bamboo stick in his hand. The Taoist looked at them with interest. Who are you? The two demons were secretly on guard, even though this man didn't have any magic power and looked like an ordinary person. But being able to hide from their spiritual consciousness and get within 10 feet of them is not something ordinary people can do. Me? My name is Su Ling. Seeing how lively you guys are here, I came here to enjoy it. Tisk tisk, it's much more exciting than Hollywood blockbusters. Reach out and make a move. On the slope of the valley next to it, a small tree half a foot tall, with its underground roots, flew up at the same time, and disappeared like lightning into a hill surrounded by clouds and mist to the Taoist's left. Give me the elixir. The black bear looked angry. He struck out with his big stick, blasting the air, and hit Su Junming like a mountain bearing down on him. A ray of red light came first and blocked the big stick. A roll of red light instantly bound the black bear. No matter how hard it struggles, it can't escape. Let me go. The leopard's expression changed. It was already cautious, but when it saw something was wrong, it ran away. Did you run away? The soul-binding rope. The sound of chiang chiang was loud, and the 9-colored yellow rice turned into iron ropes, which came first and enveloped the leopard in an instant. Senior, have mercy on me. The iron rope passed through the body and captured the soul of the leopard. If you are as evil and upright as this stupid bear and have no grievances, it's okay for Taoist master to spare you, but you can't keep your mouth shut. Go reincarnate. He reached out and grabbed it, and the leopard's body flew over. After compressing it, he put it into the gourd around his waist. A late-stage congenital demon cultivator with strong qi and blood in his body and abundant spiritual energy. Eating it can also strengthen your physical body, so there is no need to waste it. As for you, Black Bear's heart trembled. After watching the opponent divide 2 by 3, he killed the leopard that was similar to his own cultivation level. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. It's over. Close your eyes. After a while, there was no movement. Just as he was about to open his eyes, his whole body suddenly relaxed. Since you have no resentment, I will spare your life this time. In addition, this copper rod has been refined for you to repay the cause and effect of taking away your Poria Cocos for 100 years. The voice curled up, and the Taoist had disappeared. When he picked up the copper stick stuck in the ground and felt it, the black bear was instantly overjoyed. The mid-grade magic weapon that was once a 4-way treasure has now reached a 6-way treasure, and its power is several times more powerful than before. I don't know where this Taoist came from. His weapon refining skills are so sophisticated. The Dharma realm of the universe. Countless yellow grains of rice rose into the sky, and a vulture that was more than 5 feet long was bundled in it. Su Junming stretched out his hand, and 9-colored yellow rice the size of a watermelon flew into his palm. Looking at the vulture trapped in it, he raised his hand. Its soul was pulled out, its memories were read, and it was refined by Yimeng Huang Liang. It has been more than a month since I entered West Kunlun, and I have scanned hundreds of mountains, but I can't find the shadow of my master. He killed many demons with resentment on their bodies. But just like this vulture, it was his first time to kill a demon in the Golden Core stage. Jugfeng Mountain flew out from the palm of his hand, and on top of the cliff next to it, a 3-foot-tall green tree was included. It is said that the treasures of heaven and earth must be guarded by strange beasts, and this sentence is indeed true. Every time you kill a demon, you will gain something, sometimes it is elixir, sometimes it is spiritual material. And this small green tree is called Kinglingguo, which has the highest quality spiritual roots. It takes 3 years to bloom, 3 years to bear fruit, and another 3 years to mature. It can produce 12 Qingling fruits each time, which is a good material for refining elixirs. Including this Qingling fruit, this is the second Dongzhen top quality spiritual root I have obtained after entering West Kunlun. Last time he got a 9-year-old snow lotus from a tiger demon. Just after putting away the Qingling fruit, before I had time to dispose of the body of the vulture, I saw a dark cloud flying in the distance. What a powerful evil spirit! Su Junming showed a trace of solemnity on his face. He doesn't care about the demon cultivators in the early stage of the Golden Core, nor does he care about the middle stage of the Golden Core, but he has to pay attention to the later stages of the Golden Core. With a vertical movement, he urged Hu Tianxian to perform his magic and reached the top of the mountain in an instant. The dark clouds were as fast as galloping horses, and they were in front of us in an instant. The clouds that were once the size of an acres of land now covered the sky, and the sun, the vast clouds, covered the entire sky in an instant. In the huge black cloud, there is a giant golden eagle with a golden beak and golden claws, a wingspan of nearly 20 feet, its wings are flapping, and its momentum is astonishing. You killed the vulture. Angry voices echoed from the top of the mountain. You should be the Golden Eagle King, right? Su Junming nodded and said. In the memory of the vultures who killed those demons and the golden core stage before, they were all subordinates of the golden eagle king of West Kunlun. And this demon king who rules the West Kunlun demon clan is a great demon with level 7 demon elixir. It's this king. Which family and sect are you from? Why did you massacre my West Kunlun demon clan? The sound was so powerful that it shook the mountains. I am a poor Taoist with no family and no section. I am just a casual cultivator. The reason why I want to kill those monsters is because they bite a lot of people and have resentment in them. Is that why? Certainly. Ha 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 ha. Su Junming didn't frown. Why are you laughing? Why do you human monks always put forward such a twisted theory? If a demon eats a human, it should be killed. What about the man who kills the demon and refines treasures and elixirs? If a person kills an innocent monster, he is guilty. If he kills a monster that deserves to be killed, there is merit, Su Junming said. Then are you meritorious or guilty? I am a poor man, but I want to be clear in my heart. You have no regrets. I will kill you today with no regrets. The golden eagle king's wings shook, and a cyan hurricane tore through the air, blowing straight towards Su Junming with an astonishing explosion of energy.